You're watching PCN, the Pennsylvania Cable Network. PCN is supported in part by Adelphia, serving cable subscribers in Blairsville, Indiana, Latrobe, and Ligonier. PCN, only on cable. Coming up next on the Pennsylvania Cable Network, PCN's exclusive coverage of PIAA Championship Football, live from Hershey, the Single A Finals, and tonight live at 7, the AAA Finals.
December snowfall has hit the Hershey area. We're sweeping the field. We're plowing the field. It is an absolutely terrific condition thanks to the grounds crew. Southern Columbia is here as the defending champs. They will take on Bishop Carroll, making their first state playoff appearance. It is Bishop Carroll and Southern Columbia next on the Pennsylvania Championship Network, PCN.
It is Sunsplash today. Out of the West, Bishop Carroll undefeated at 14-0, making their inaugural appearance. Out of the East, Southern Columbia for a 6th consecutive year. The Tigers at 13-1, their only loss in overtime to Mount Carmel earlier this season. Hello again, everyone. Jed Donahue along with Gary Sutton and Steve Bowen. And you got to be brave to sit here today, but the grounds crew, as everybody talked about, did a magnificent job getting this field into a playing condition. About 11 o'clock when we were here this morning, you couldn't see the yard line markers, you couldn't see any of the green, but they've got a new field turf here in Hershey. It's called A-Turf, and it is going to hold up very well despite the inclement conditions that we have for the weekend, which has already prompted one change. There is a major snowstorm, more major than the one we have now, that could dump up to a foot in central Pennsylvania, and they are going to move tomorrow's games to Sunday, but we've got 2 for the price of 1. Ernie Banks said let's play 2. Well, let's do that today. The weather elements, it's the Pennsylvania State Championships. We're not in the Banana Belt. What can we say? It's going to be a little snowy today, but both of these teams live on the ground, and Steve, shouldn't have any major impact. I think considering the conditions, the field, the track, it's pretty quick. Should see a marvelous game.
It's December, it's Pennsylvania, and it's 2 teams that like to run the football. I don't think you could have much of a better day. The wind might be a little bit of a problem for us standing around and people in the stands, but I don't think it's going to affect the game at all.
You're from here. You brought all this stuff with you anyway. It's all your fault. You know that. Okay. Gary, you've coached in state championship environments before. Let's talk about Chuck Sponsky. This is Craig Sponsky. His dad's Chuck, the athletic director. Craig making his first appearance. They were knocking on the door the last couple of years. They finally got through in the Western Final last week against Springdale. What's the mindset against Southern Columbia, where this game's been kind of on the pocket schedule year in and year out?
I think the mindset for Coach Sponsky is basically the same as it's been all season long. This guy knows how to win. He's got 4 district championships. He's got 59 wins in 5 years. I mean, this guy knows what he's doing. And I think for football coaches, it's a lot better. You're down there in the field. You're away a little bit from the fans. You know it's a state championship game, but after you get out there, and especially when you have to deal with this weather right now, I think it's a matter of attacking with what you know how to do. They certainly love the ground game and that triple option, and it's going to be interesting this afternoon to see how well they do with it. But they're a team that does a few things very, very well, and I think they'll come down and do those things very well, and I don't think Coach Sponsky is going to be under a lot of pressure at all.
Last year when we were talking about Southern Columbia, Jim Roth was under a lot of pressure. They said can't win the big one. Hadn't won a state championship since 1994. Last year, they kind of changed the conditioning program, added a little bit more speed, changed the style a little bit. And, Steve, they were resounding a year ago and knocking off Rochester 31-6.
It just shows you how much people in Pennsylvania like high school football. This guy's got 233 wins in 19 years.
What he done for me an hour ago?
Yeah, and he was on the bubble. They were a different team last year than any time they'd been here in the past. They really were bigger, stronger, faster, and I think a little bit more confident in what they were doing. Much like Bishop Carroll, they don't do a lot of things fancy, but what they do, they do well. So this is going to be a great game. I think this is the best of the four, myself.
Quickly, Gary. Again, Jim Roth got a senior group looking to be the first to go back-to-back.
Yeah, this guy's been in the championship game every game since 1994, except for 1997, the only year he had off. He knows what he's doing here. Some people are saying this might be his last game. We don't know that for sure, but certainly this is a senior group. And when you have a senior group, you've been through a lot of trials and tribulations. You've won a championship. You've never won two of them back-to-back, and certainly that's on the minds of Jim Roth and his players here today.
You saw in our open, they had blowers out. Mike Conti is going to be on the field and in the venue areas throughout the weekend here on Pennsylvania's Championship Network. And Mike, what are things looking like right now?
Well, I'll tell you, Chad, obviously the big stories you talked about at the top of the show is the weather. And the field conditions especially are going to be important when we talk about the games, especially today while it is snowing. Now, they have a new artificial surface here at Hershey Park Stadium. It's called A-Turf. It was uncovered last night. The grounds crew got here this morning, started working on it, first blowing the snow off the turf, and then putting down a product called potassium chloride. Potassium chloride is something you use on your concrete sidewalks to clear ice away, and it won't crack the sidewalk. It's a little less caustic. The feeling is it'll be safer for the players in case they get it in their eyes. Talked to both coaches before the game. They said there are no problems with footing. They're happy with the way the field is for this single A final.
Yeah, and this the A-turf that they put in is certainly, there we are, is certainly a fast track, and it will hold regardless of the weather. Obviously, we're not going to play two tomorrow because there's going to be more than a foot of snow, and that's as much a concern about the fans getting here and the teams and safety, and I think they made the right call.
I think they did. There's been a lot of discussion back and forth, certainly by the powers that be, on just about every chat room you can think of. Some people saying, hey, it's December, let's play. Other people, I think rightly so, being concerned, especially when you have to travel the Pennsylvania Turnpike, because it's a good road when it's dry. It's not when it's snowing, and anybody who's driven it in the snow knows that. So for the safety of everybody, I think they did make the right call, and I think it is going to ease everybody's minds a little bit. And I think if you're the coaches of those four teams, you say, oh, cool, we had another day of practice.
Well, some of the key players, let's start with Southern Columbia, a guy that's going to wear number 20, and Gary, this guy's do everything. He's over 1,000 yards rushing for the second consecutive year. Brandon Traw, and this is a guy that's played in pennant pressure at a marvelous game in the Eastern Final against Lackawanna Trail a week ago. 4 touchdowns in that football game.
Brandon Traw is the real deal. He can play the game well. He's going to be even having a little bit more pressure this afternoon with Harry Hynoski out of the game with an ACL tear on his knee. So Traw now becomes a little bit more of the spotlight player, even more than he normally is. And 4 touchdowns, as I said, in the Eastern Final. This guy knows what he's doing. He's a veteran. He's played down here before. He knows this kind of atmosphere, and I think he welcomes it and relishes it.
And the other guy on defense, they've got 2 marvelous linebackers for Southern Columbia. Much about their offense, both of these teams are over 5,000 total yards. It's just obscene. But defensively, Southern Columbia only gives up 63 yards on the ground. And where do you look first? Well, usually down guys, but their linebackers, mainly Ryan Slater and Bob Admire, fabulous talents.
Admire gets a lot of the ink, and if you talk to the coaches, they say Slater's just as good, and he's kind of the guy everybody looks at. If his head's down a little bit, that affects the whole team. If he's pounding his chest, the other team's in trouble.
You know, Slater may step in a little bit for Hynoski this afternoon. If he has to play a lot of offense, Brandon Traw will back him up on defense again. Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting mix.
We might see Ray Snarsky as well in the backfield.
And one of those guys, too, that's a great lead blocker. And there's Dan Latour, the quarterback. Mark Wojtovich took them to a state championship a year ago in the win over Rochester. But Latour has come in, beat out Kyle Conahan for the starting job, and has been magnificent, especially in the postseason and in the clutch 3 weeks ago when they were down 19-6 to Steel High. They had to have a couple of punt returns, and then Latour kind of took it over with his poise and used Traw and a lot of the weapons. Now, for Bishop Carroll, they don't come to this thing unarmed at all. Koenig, their tailback, this is a guy that's over, 1,300 yards on the year?
Actually, over 1,600 with playoffs. I'm thinking they don't come unarmed. They come awfully legged because they're going to run the football, and then they're going to run the football, and then when you stop the run, they're going to run the football again. And Koenig is the real deal. Big, strong, I think a little shiftier than maybe most of their opponents have expected, and has a good bit of speed. He's a big-time running back, and they count on him a lot.
And Eric Lisinski, this is a guy that didn't take over the starting job until earlier this year, but his ball handling skills, this is where he has made the most improvement, especially in the postseason, and it's kind of locked in for him.
Well, they run the wing T, and doing that, they're going to you're going to rely on the quarterback being able to execute fakes, handoffs, everything, and Lisinski has done it literally without any hiccups. And when your quarterback can do that, good things happen, obviously. I mean, and he does it without a lot of flair, carries out fakes. You know, he'll make 3 handoffs on the same play. He understands what he needs to do as the quarterback of this offense.
Guy on the field all day long will be number 21 for Bishop Carroll. You're going to see him in the backfield. He'll be leading the way at fullback, but at linebacker, you're talking about a 150, 160 tackle guy, and Dan Strong right here, and he is the heart and soul of this defense.
Dan Strong is a guy that they gather around. They're going to be very tough all afternoon. 5 up front. You're going to see him coming at you all day. Their defense has been highly touted in the West all season long, and one of the things the defense does, it gives this team the ball back a lot of times. This team is absolute misery in the first quarter for their opponents. They've been there all year long, and even in the final where they got down 14-0, they've only given up 21 points all season long in the first quarter. They've been dominant there. Let's look for them to try to get up early.
Key thing too, Steve, last week down 14-0 early to Springdale in the Western Final, and then came back and won that football game, a tough football game, and I think that really sets them up well for today because they showed they could come from behind and come off the pace a little bit.
A lot of people have talked about an advantage to Southern Columbia is having been here before, but it's not as if Bishop Carroll hasn't played in big games. 4 Western Finals in 5 years. They get there this year. When you have that kind of success, every last game is a big game, so I don't think that's that big of a deal. They certainly showed a little bit more muster last week, though, coming back from that 14-0 deficit.
Let's talk Craig Sponsky again a little bit. A few years ago, you know, Steve just talked about the fact they went to 4 straight Western Finals. They got kicked hard, 53-6 by Southside Beaver the first time they were there, then ran into the Rochester Dynasty where they went back-to-back, and then they finally kicked it in. But, you know, what does that say to you, being a former coach, about what this coach has been able to accomplish here?
What it says to me is the same thing Jim Roth had to realize. There are little things you have to do to become a champion. 53-6, there's a waxing waiting out there for all of us at some time in our careers, no matter what sport you coach. And what you do is you find out from the losses become far more valuable. You go back to the weight room, you go back to looking at the little things you maybe you've been letting go by. You make sure that you improve those things up. This guy is 59-9 in 5 years. He did something right since then. He knows what he's doing now, and he brings one heck of a team in here this afternoon undefeated.
And I talked to his dad earlier this week. He was ready to play this game on Wednesday. Just so you know, they left yesterday at 9 a.m. The Weather Channel had been given all these bad reports. They said, we're coming and we're playing, and they were ready to play this game the minute they got here.
Yeah, it's interesting, too. I heard your interview with Coach Sponsky on the show yesterday, and he's a little low-keyed when it comes to talking about his team in public. But I was down on the sidelines beforehand. He's not a low-key guy today. He's having some fun, and he really is involved in every aspect of their even pre-game preparation, walking around, spending about 2 or 3 minutes with every kid. This is also a senior-laden group. You talked about the front 5 on defense, about the front 8 on defense, and the entire front line is all seniors. So these guys know how to play football, and toughness really kind of defines them.
And I read an interesting piece in the Altoona Mirror. Let's head first. We'll get to that here in a minute. Let's go down to the officials. And
gentlemen, once again, congratulations and good luck. Come on in, fellas. Shake hands again, guys. Okay, guys, we're still going to do a simulated coin toss. You're still going to give me a heads call, okay? And then you're going to win the toss, all right? So you know? Okay, fellas, once again, congratulations on being here. It's an honor to be your referee today. Let's have fun. Let's play football. White, that's a head and a tail. Black, tail, and a head. White, call it now, please.
Head.
Heads is called. It is a head. You've won a toss. You want to receive, correct?
Yes, sir.
You want to defend that goal, correct? Black, go over there. White, come over here.
Please.
Bishop Carroll has won a toss and has elected to receive. Okay, fellas, shake hands. Bring them out.
That's Frank Campbell, the referee that you just heard. And delighted to be working with Service Electric. They are providing all of the camera work, all of the sights and the sounds and the infrastructure to this year's championships. Get a look at Jim Roth right now, and we're going to take you around snowy Hershey Park Stadium as we get this 2003 PIAA Football Championships underway with our national anthem.
The Southern Columbia High School Marching Band under the direction of Mr. Joel Thomas. Ladies and gentlemen, our national anthem.
The 2003 PIAA Football Championships are proudly sponsored by Wachovia on this year's championships on the Pennsylvania Cable Network.
Wachovia, talk to us, because when we take all that you know and then all that we've learned together, we can discover uncommon possibilities.
Well, I don't think the Wildcat roller coaster's open today, but they've got Christmas candy lane. They've created a great bowl atmosphere here in Hershey for these championships. They return here in 1998. And Bishop Carroll making their first appearance, although the girls basketball we've seen the last 2 years win gold in a state championship, and they've been a central figure of the Altoona Mare. Had some really good stuff on that earlier in the week, Gary.
Yeah, they played some great basketball here, and behind us at the new Giant Center we have the old Hershey Park Arena here to our right. And just a neat place right now to get ready for a big sports event. And let's talk about where they're from. Evansburg, Pennsylvania is where you find Bishop Carroll, and right there it is in the kind of the, what would you call that, Steve? Kind of the middle of the state a little bit.
Yeah. By Altoona, Johnstown, and Catawissa is up there by Bloomsburg.
Steve said he thought the whole town of Evansburg was sitting across from us today, so I don't know. It's not a very big town, but a beautiful little place to go through.
Kreischer kicks it off and kicks it a little bit short. This is going to be Dan Strong. Make that Koenig to about the 26-yard line where he's hit a drive.
It was Dustin
the
Lindemuth.
Offense. Bishop Carroll. We talked about Lisinski. Go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say Lindemuth on the tackle, but yeah, Lisinski strong at the fullback, and again, you're going to see a lot of wing T. Koenig, Forcellini. Forcellini's only a sophomore, a little bit of a bum elbow, but Joel Lauer, the wideout, Landon Day, the tight end, and the guys up front are big and good.
Strength of this team has been their offensive line throughout the year. It's going to be Lisinski's got a big hole and has the first down as he slithers to the 39-yard line. Southern Columbia's defense only giving up 63 yards per game on the ground. And again, they've got a big freshman up there. Josh Marks is going to be special, but the linebackers of the core, Admire, Slater, Conahan, and a very good secondary, Hall and Roth, two wide receivers on offense who bolted down both corners.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hall made a nice play on that last little option run by Lisinski.
And Service is a playmaker, ball hawking type of free safety. Lisinski again, this time's going to be nowhere. Admire in on the stop for Southern Columbia. Also there is going to be Service again. That's Forcellini's first carry. Forcellini had a pair of touchdowns in the opening round of states in their win 18-7 against Clarion Limestone.
watching Eric Lisinski, it's so important to sell that fake and to sell that pitch. And that time, the linebacker was able to come up and pick it off right there. There's Eric Lisinski. He is 32 out of 76 passing this year, 695 yards. Doesn't sound that great, but he is the master at the controls here for this Bishop Carroll offense that puts points on the board, especially in the first quarter, in a hurry.
Well, Bishop Carroll plus 18 giveaway takeaway, and you saw the big number there. 1 interception is all he has thrown this year. This time they snuff it out. Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. Tackle is going to be made by Woodruff, and Madera also explodes off of there. Madera, 6'2", senior, 210-pounder.
You know, we talked about the fact that both coaches said they liked the surface, that the footing was pretty good, but you have to have a little bit of thought in your mind about the footing, and I think we've seen that the first 2 times that Lisinski's tried to run the option. A little bit of baby steps instead of running full out.
Pretty significant wind blowing against Bishop Carroll on this opening series as they look at 3rd and 13 right now. His first pass, and it is broken up. Oh, interference. They're going to say that jumping in there was Ryan Hall. The pass intended for Joel Lauer that time. This will be interesting to see this again.
See if we get a look at this. When Ryan Hall looked like he had a clean look at it, came over the back. Now watch this. I will see it again. Ryan Hall, number 6, coming in to defend here, is going to come in over the back, and the official says right here, that's interference, and there you see why, because he hits him right on the shoulder before he gets the ball and did not allow the man to catch the ball, Joel Lauer.
So big penalty is going to get marked off against Southern Columbia, and this is going to take it down to the Tigers 40, right at midfield rather.
Pass interference on a defense. That's a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Must say the officials, they come from all districts of the state. This is almost like their championship as well. You'll see the best and the highest rated officials in each of these games. Pretty tough run by Koenig that time as he just knifes through to about the 42-yard line. Officials for today's game, there they are. Frank Campbell is the head referee. Wayne Freed, Greg Mace, Tony Scanga, Mark Emmerling, Ron Dixon, and Tom Fischera.
There's always got to be at least one Italian official in there, and there you see it with Scanga and Fischera. Okay, that's always important.
Strong's first carry, and he pushes the pile forward for the first down. We mentioned the offensive line. This would be a big trend to watch early. What kind of shock, what kind of thrust are they getting? So far, so good.
Well, up until the pass interference penalty, I would have said not necessarily. That put a really big boost into them. Here we see just the little belly play up the middle, and that's about 4 yards, and 4 yards will do it for you every time.
I'll tell you, the guy that's doing it right now on the left is Jordan Hoover, number 57, the offensive guard, 6'1", 215-pound senior, really getting a good thrust forward.
Lisinski this time, not much room to go as he falls forward to about the 37-yard line. Tackle is made by Traw for Southern Columbia.
Well, it's interesting. He only gained 3, but it didn't look like he gained 3, and yet when they mark it, it's not a bad pickup on first down, and it was another look. It was having Koenig come in motion all the way across the field, and that's something that they hadn't shown so far.
See an injury on the sideline being taken care of there on Southern Columbia.
Pitch, Borsellini trying to get to the outside, forced to the outside and forced down. A loss on the play up near that 41 or 42-yard line. And the first guy there was Ryan Hall.
Almost looked like a broken play that time, the way he pitched it. It may have been just a misdirection, but he fakes the pitch left. And watch this. Looks over there and says, uh-oh, nothing there, and then Borsellini is on his own.
Yeah, Hall's going to get credit for the tackle, but Conahan read that beautifully and really caused him to take it further outside. The injury, by the way, is to Admire, Bob Admire, the inside linebacker. He looks to be walking a lot better than he was 2 minutes ago, so I would expect to see Admire back in, this being the state championship game.
Well, this senior group trying to win back-to-back state championships for the first time in school history, but Bishop Carroll looking at 3rd and 9. Lasinski dodging all kinds of pressure. Just throws it up for grabs, and it is caught and dropped by Koenig, and it's caught, they say.
Yep.
It's a catch by Koenig. Wow, sensational grab and 50-50 traffic over there all the way down to the 4-yard line.
Actually, it's about 66% traffic because he was double teamed right there, and he went up and just nailed it. This is one heck of a catch. Now watch this throw. Here it is. You look, you're just throwing the bomb down the side. You got double team. Doesn't look like you have a chance in the world, and look at that catch. Bringing it down, Todd Koenig. Right out of the backfield. He can catch and he can run too.
Back to live action. Koenig touchdown. He roars in from 4 yards out. Impressive drive by Bishop Carroll as they keep it 4 minutes and 19 seconds. The pass interference penalty proved fatal to Southern Columbia there as Bishop Carroll cashes in.
I think the pass interference penalty proved fatal in 2 ways. One, it gave him a first down on a 3rd and 13, but the other thing is that it really seemed to juice up Bishop Carroll. They were strong from the 50 in.
Extra points will be huge considering the conditions, and it is up and good by Woodruff, and Bishop Carroll, impressive march to the end zone.
And this is a team that likes to play from in front, and they've made the first quarter their own, as has Southern Columbia throughout the course of the season, except for their last game against Springdale when they were down 14-zip. Well, this game they are first on the board, and that is a big, big thing in a day like today when the footy's a little difficult and the weather's real bad.
You see the touchdown again.
And you can see that thrust of that offensive line right there. Corey Millwood, 230 pounds. You got Jordan Hoover, 215.
Look at the head spin here. Hey, I like that. A little break dancing.
You used to do that, didn't you, Gary?
Just yesterday.
Well, that was a circus catch.
Yeah.
By Koenig, 35 yards from Lasinski that time, and sets his 4-yard run. And here's Jim Roth, who has been behind before in state championships. He's seen just about everything in his 19-plus years as a head coach. 233, 42, and 2 overall.
Not bad.
The touchdown drive, 10 plays, 73 yards, 4 minutes, 19 seconds. Koenig, the 3-yard run, capping it off.
You know what's amazing, Jed, is you talk about him being 2-6 in state championships, and yet I think about it from another standpoint. You can't win or lose this game till you get into this game. And so to be there every year talks about excellence in your program, and you know.
Yeah, he's won 2 state championships.
Not bad.
Yeah.
That's 2 more than most.
Kick this time, and it's going to go out of bounds. And that'll drive coaches crazy. But keeping it away from Southern Columbia is not a bad idea in the return game.
You know, Jed, I think you made a really good point about Bishop Carroll all season long. They have really done an outstanding job getting out in front, and they're a lot more comfortable that way, and that's a whole lot of difference.
Henry Hynoski's out. He's 27 on there with a knee injury. Latour is a developing situation at quarterback. He's played his best football over the last month. The usual rough, tough offensive line for Southern Columbia, one of the main reasons why they're here again for a 6th consecutive year. So we'll see them on offense for the first time. Traw's first carry. He's got quick feet. This time he manages to get about 3 or 4 yards, and that is about it.
Steve said something earlier that was really interesting, that the Delaware wing T, which is what Southern Columbia runs, is just a fun kind of offense as we look at the defense on the other side from Bishop Carroll.
Yeah, Bodenschatz, Kelly, Bukowski, Dave, Forcellini, Strong. And we didn't talk about Kevin Westrick. Oh, he's only got 9. He has 9 interceptions from his linebacking position. Their front 7 is really, really tough.
And Takis was the starting quarterback at the beginning of the season and then suffered an injury, but he's back. Double handoff this time. This is going to be Ryan Slater, close to a first down. Going to be about a yard shy to the 44-yard line. Tackle is made by Dan Bukowski, 5'11", 250-pound junior defensive tackle for the Huskies.
Interesting play that you're going to see a lot of. Wingback in motion, little inside scissors cut.
Take a look at this, little inside. Nice job, all arm tackle right there, and a good job just slashing around the guard that time.
Big hole and a first first down run that time for Southern Columbia. John Adams blows into Bishop Carroll territory down to the 48-yard line, and he rips off about 10.
Good blocking right at the point of attack there. Simple play, and we'll see it here. Go ahead,
Stop right there. Watch this. Josh Hoagland just getting a great block to the inside there, and then giving the room to get forward for the first down.
How about a pancake block that time, Gary?
Just put him on his back.
Well, both of these teams feel they can move the football. Here's Latour's first carry. Got a big hole on the fake and gets it up to the 41, a gain of 6. Well, average yards on first down is a key, untalked about stat, but right now Southern Columbia is getting the job done on first down on their initial possession here.
They sure look very, very comfortable playing on this field and in this weather. And we'll see this here, even though Latour trips a little bit. Outstanding job of the entire line moving the defensive guys in the direction they want them to go.
You mentioned first downs, Jeds. Southern Columbia 203 to 88 for the year. Got a little bit of an advantage there.
Double handoff. Traw's got a big hole. Has 5 to the outside and maybe gone. 20. Traw looking for the corner. Touchdown, Southern Columbia. Traw goes 40 yards on a double handoff, and it blew wide open, and when he got the corner, there was no chance to get him.
And I think we'll see on the replay that there are 2 keys to this play. The one is the lead block by Latour, and the other one is Traw deciding which way to go off of that block.
He just got caught out of position, and when Traw, who's got 24 touchdowns coming in, gets there, he knows where he's going.
Blaine Madera and Josh Hoagland, number 62 and 60 on the right side, opened up a huge hole there by the time he got to it. He just ran through and headed for daylight.
Here's Dan Kreischer. This guy was playing soccer last offseason. They just threw him at center in the summer camp at Bucknell, and he's kind of stayed there ever since, and his kick is good. So with 5:21 remaining, each team has had an at-bat, and each team has scored. It's tied at 7.
We said both teams like the first quarter. Now take a look at this. Slater does a great job of handing the ball off. Take a look right here. He's going to hand the ball off there very quickly to the inside, and there it is. Now watch the hole right there. Hole opens up in there, and he's off to the races.
They just sealed everybody right toward the top of your screen right there. Let's check in with Mike Conti and see how everything's holding up. Mike, so far, 2 offensive possessions. Looks like the field's holding up pretty well.
There you see Jim Roth walking on the sideline, and he just got his team tied up in a hurry. He's a happier man right now. Both teams love the first quarter. Both teams have dominated the first quarter. Neither team likes to play a whole lot behind. Who does? And 7-7 here with 5:21 to go in the first.
Yeah, but also both teams pride themselves on their defense. We thought the game tonight was going to be the pinball game, not this one. That was a 65-yard, 5-play drive by Southern Columbia.
His kick. This is going to be Lauer. Lauer's explosive, blows wide by it, and let's see, just dragged down from behind to the 48-yard line, and a touchdown-saving tackle by Pfeiffer of Southern Columbia. Otherwise, he was gone.
35-yard run back there for Lauer. Take a look at this. Get in behind your blockers and go north.
Tearaway jersey, and this is a touchdown. Well, that's Service. Service is the one that brought him down.
Yeah, Service did a great job just to hang on for that one. You're right, he was the only one left. Look at this. This is what it looks like coming from the other end.
Watch the block right there by Forcellini, 32.
So excellent field position for Bishop Carroll. Strong, the fullback. Boom, boom, nothing. Ran right into Ryan Slater in there. Also Madera and Josh Marks, who's only a freshman. Marks is wearing number 66, and keep this name in mind. There you see Craig Sponsky, the head coach. There's Marks right there. His uncle played at Southern Columbia in the early 80s, and his dad played here. His dad was there when the whole thing got started back in the early 80s when Jim Roth was an assistant. They had losing streaks into the 20s, and they were thinking about dropping football. Not anymore. Again, they're just keying on him, and he's lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. I'm not sure he even got that done. Admire, who's back into the game, the first man to get there, along with Service again. Also on the stop, Doug Woodruff. for the Tigers.
Koenig with an interesting little loop that time, and then trying to get forward, kind of just buying that moment to see the field. Nothing doing for the Southern Columbia defense.
People that are seeing either of these teams for the first time or either of these types of offenses for the first time are wondering, gee, why do you keep running it? That's the key. When you run this offense, you have to keep running it, whether it's 1st and 10 or whether you pick up 1 or whether you lose 2.
Sinski back, blitz is coming, and he swallowed whole all the way back of the 47-yard line. Ends up losing 2 on the play, but
Doug Woodruff coming off the right side that time, and Woodruff out of his linebacker position. Watch this. He's coming straight, and you can't see him coming from this side. He's going to be coming right around here, and he just comes the whole way across the field and makes the tackle right there. Great play by Woodruff.
And good penetration initially on the left side by Pfeiffer to really cause Lisinski to have to cut it up inside and gave Woodruff a better angle at it.
Now Service drops back, and he is very dangerous. Pretty good kick by Koenig, unreturnable, and it's going to take a wicked roll, Bishop Carroll's favor, and it's all the way up near that 12-yard line.
I like what Koenig did there. He made you think about the run a little bit and says, hey, I could do it, and I'm pretty good at it. There you see on the far side, Craig Sponsky in his 5th year, 59-9 in 4 district championships, 1 Western championship in his first appearance here.
Well, for District 6, this is a big day. They've come before at AA with Forest Hills, who lost in double overtime to Mount Carmel. Tyrone was a runner-up 1 year in AA and then won it all in 1999 when Jesse Jones ran in sunny and windy conditions against Mount Carmel that afternoon. But they're looking to break through, the first single A team from District 6 to make it to the gold medal game. Here's Adams. Pretty good hole, and Adams fighting and scratching close to a first down up near the 22-yard line. I think he's got it.
It looks like he may not. They marked it back to about the 22, but they're going to measure. One of the things that impressed me last year and the year before seeing Southern Columbia was how strong their kids ran, that they ran hard. We see it right here. Adams just keeps going. First hit is right there, and he gets another 5 yards after that, and that was him. The initial 5 were from a good block, good set of blocks up front. The last 5 were all him.
One of the things we come back to there is going back into the weight room, Jed, as Jim Rock did a few years ago. Got those kids stronger, so they're breaking first tackles now. As you see a first down called for Southern Columbia there, and it's that strong kind of running now. I think it's become not just the hallmark for them, but breaking 1, 2, 3 tackles. We didn't necessarily see that all the time. It was a little bit more finesse in years prior.
Well, again, they have such versatility. Adams has 392 yards on the year, and keep in mind Hynoski is out of the game today. He has 793 yards. That's 14 touchdowns that they're without today. Adams runs it again, positive yardage to about the 28. Another gain of 5 or 6 on first down. They're just blowing it open up there.
Nothing but just slants off the left side that time. Kevin Beislein leading the way along with Jeremy Fowler. And you saw the center that time doing a really nice block. Dan Kreischer, the 5'7", 210. Right here you see it. Throws a real nice block up front, right up in here. And again, a slant off the center.
He just showed up at a summer camp at Bucknell, and they said, you're a center. He's only 5'7". He was basically brought in from the soccer team to kick, and lo and behold, they've got a starting guy out of it. Here's Traw, not much there as they mark him off. He's got maybe a yard, and that is it. Tough going in there.
Yeah, Dan Strong, bottom of the pile there, making the tackle, amongst others. Another interesting thing is we see them running plays that they would normally run for Henry Hynoski, and I think that's important to do in a game like this because you can't go against what got you here. And sure, it was the player, but it was also the play. And if you keep running those plays, regardless of who's there.
There's something you don't want to see if you're a Southern Columbia fan. Brandon Traw needs some help over to the sidelines, and we'll take a look at that. That'll be a story here in a moment.
We'll have Mike Conti check that out for us. Here's Latour, lucky to hold on to the football. I let that pop a little bit right at the 31-yard line. And boy, Southern Columbia having trouble there. Bishop Carroll's defense showing a lot of bounce in this series after they allowed that first down. Landon Day in on the stop, and there he is. 6'3", 200-pound senior.
Take a look at that kind of lateral movement right here.
Yeah, but a nice job by Latour when he gets his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. He gets enough push that his forward motion gives him the first down, but just barely.
Quick handoff, Adams blows through it. He's got a first down. Big run by Adams. They've got Traw, their leading ground gainer, being looked at on their bench right now, and Southern Columbia weathering a storm with some seasoned backups.
And it's kind of interesting, right over top of that center again, and you're going to see him going right over Kreitzer. Look at this, straight through. The short handoff after a lot of looping stuff here early, and you see straight ahead for Adams, but a good block again by that center right up front. Kreitzer is doing a great job.
Development of depth. That was the other lesson learned by Southern Columbia in years gone by. Rico Rossini was unavailable to them in 1996. They didn't have anybody to go with. Now they just keep on coming with fresher legs. Snarsky, who Steve had said in the pregame would play, gets his first carry. He's a 6-foot junior.
Westrick and Strong in on the tackle for the Huskies. They have been giving ground grudgingly as we wind down the end of the first quarter. It started off, as we said, like a pinball game with 2 touchdowns in the first 7 minutes. It's been a little rough going.
And that's the end of the first quarter. A very entertaining opening act. Each team goes for a touchdown in their initial possession. And Bishop Carroll defensively hanging in there pretty well. Let's see some of that defense here in this opening quarter. Behold, they've got a starting guy out of it.
See Traw right there being brought down by number 21, Dan Strong. And then stuck in there by Joel Tackix.
There's Landon Day, and then here's Snarsky's first carry, and again Kevin Westruck in on that stop. Well, the grounds crew has been working overtime to make sure this field stays ready, and Mike Conti with some of the reasons why. Mike?
Yeah, it has been a very busy day and weekend for that matter for the people here at Hershey. Matthew Ford is the general manager of Hershey Park Stadium at the Giant Center. Matthew, talk about the work that went into getting the field prepared for the game.
Yeah, it's 2 years in a row now we've had to do this, and we started about 4:30 this morning, taking the snow off the field, and it's been a long day already for many of our staff.
Now, no game tomorrow.
Taking it off the field and out of the stands. Come back Sunday morning, do the same thing, get it ready for Sunday at 1.
And guys, as we start the second quarter, I can tell you the footing down here just fine, but the snow is getting harder. Back to you.
And there's a major storm in the forecast for central Pennsylvania tonight. As we start the second quarter, Latour trying to get away, and there's Day again as he gobbles him up at about the 46-yard line. And I'll tell you, Latour's lucky to get something out of nothing there.
And the guys who get credit for the tackles are the guys that you know, get all the stickers on their helmets. But that time, Kevin Westrick with really good penetration and forced Latour, who really wanted, after probably 3 steps, to cut it up inside, couldn't because Westrick did a great job of plugging the hole and almost brought him down.
And then Landon Day finished him off. Landon Day, 6'3", 210 senior.
So big 3rd and 7. This is what Bishop Carroll wants to do, is lead Southern Columbia in 3rd and long. They are going against the wind as we start the opening minute of this second quarter. Latour back, looks, throws, almost intercepted and dropped by Koenig, who may have been thinking about rumbling it the other way.
He
Stepping
knows
in
it.
front of Slater that time.
Koenig had this
that
smelled
ball,
out.
he's gone.
Yeah, he had this one smelled out the whole way. Watch this. Koenig plays this perfectly. He's got it, and then he says, "Oh man."
It's kind of a tough day. This is one of these days your hands turn into concrete.
Well, that's what you're looking at right there. You're trying to focus if you're Slater, and you're getting a good pass out there, and it's into the wind and hangs just for a moment, and Koenig says, "Oh, I saw 6."
I think maybe one of these big snowflakes knocked him off balance.
It's all your fault.
It is.
You know, we didn't start having this snow problem down here till Steve started joining us a couple years ago, Jed.
Erie native Steve Bowen.
Yeah.
Pretty good kick. Gets it to turn over in the wind. Lauer. Just to stay alive, but they just had that covered all the way, and it'll be 1st and 10, Bishop Carroll at the 20. Great punt return coverage that time by Southern Columbia.
It was Blaine Madera who made the tackle. One of the starting offensive and defensive linemen, plays end on defense, guard on offense.
Boy, Mike was saying that's starting to get harder. He's right. This is the hardest it snowed all day.
The heck with the front that's coming. The one's here.
So the wind at Bishop Carroll's back for the first time in the football game. Lights are obviously on. Koenig gets the carry, and again, not much room to operate in there. Both of these defenses are just sensational. That's why they're here. Slater is the first guy to get on the stop. Conahan was also there.
Along with
Slater.
Yeah, along with Mike Wydra, too. Number 74. 5'8", 270-pound senior. That's near and dear to my heart.
Well, all these seniors, you're talking about 30, 40 start guys. I mean, much experience. They've been wearing targets on their back their entire career. That's why a lot of people favor Southern Columbia in this game. But Bishop Carroll, making their initial trip here, has played very well in the first half. And I think we've got our first penalty. That's, as you would expect, two teams that are playing in a championship game. Not too many penalties.
Well, initially it looked like encroachment. We'll see.
Yep, good hard snap count by Lisinski.
So 2nd and 8 becomes 2nd and 3 now. A few more options. Here we go.
Red ball. Encroachment on a defense. 5-yard penalty for the previous spot. Remains 2nd down.
There you see, you get over, you can't get back in time into that neutral zone.
Lisinski going to keep it himself, and there's just nowhere to go. Madara is there along with Marks, the freshman. Also Service, there he is, 31. What a football player he is. He's a 5'11 senior, is only 150 pounds, but he's always around the football. And
watch this. Now just stop right there. Take a look. You're not getting any surge at all from the front line, and great lateral pursuit on the defensive side as we see the play finished out, and it's on the side of Southern Columbia.
Good work by a crew who are dealing with the elements just like the players are, but they're not moving around as much. So 3rd down, nothing doing. It's going to be Slater. Bang, bang. Slater must have been in on the snap count because he just exploded to the carrier that time.
That was a pretty good series for Ryan Slater. Hey, was in on all 3 tackles, and to say that he was in on them was
an understatement.
Yeah, not only did he make them, but as you said, he was probably in on it.
See if we can see it one more time. And Slater says, what, everybody, huh? No one put a glove on him, by the way. He cut right on through that time. Not a body on him.
That's a 150-plus tackle guy right there. Here's Koenig again on the stop. Here's Service. He's very dangerous. In the clear. Service still going, and then finally whacked by Koenig, who punted the ball to him at the 36-yard line. Service had a 93-yard punt return against Steel High when Southern Columbia was trailing 19-6. He followed one by Roth. And it was his 93-yard return that tied the football game.
Beautiful run back here, just eyes up the whole way, cruising down, waiting for blocks to set up, and then making the most of it at the end.
And Koenig a little active on that tackle, and they've been pointing that stuff out. You might see a little bit of frustration from Bishop Carroll.
Nice sign there. Number 20 Trawl back into the game now.
Well, like a fighter, you want a good cut man. Like a football team, you want a good tape man. So they get his ankle taped back up, and it doesn't look like he really lost much. Good to see him back out, as you mentioned, Gary, for a gain of 4. There's Jim Roth right there. Is glad to see his big A main guy back at the tailback position. Craig Sponsky. It's been what we thought it would be here in this first half. Close defensive battle, and who wins the line of scrimmage yet to be determined. But Southern Columbia in great shape at the Bishop Carroll 32-yard line. Here's Adams, not much doing that time. Koenig, first man there for the Huskies.
We'll see if that play transcends into the rest of the Huskies defense, because that's really the first play in about the last 11 that they have stopped Southern Columbia from any sort of a positive gain, and a nice push up front, and there's Koenig right in the middle.
A great surge by Bodenshots that time, forcing the play inside for Bishop Carroll. Bodenshots, the defensive end, wearing number 5, 6 foot, 185-pound senior.
Not sure what Southern is on 3rd down today, but it's 3rd and 6. Latour back. This little throwback screen. Here's Adams, read well, and I'll tell you, you can't play it any better than Bishop Carroll just did. Brock Lauer was made the initial hit, and then Koenig cleaned it up. And they're going to be looking at 4th and 4. I think they're going to end up going for it here.
Latour sold this pretty well, but you said Brock Lauer. Brock Lauer is going to be staying right here. Watch this. There he is, 13. Brock Lauer just holds his place, keeps it disciplined. Now watch. And here he is right there, bringing down the tackle or forcing the tackle inside to Koenig at the end, who finishes it off.
Well, I'll tell you, how many times you see that throwback go for huge yardage? That was great defense.
It is great defense, and it was 3 or 4 guys. So that talks to the scouting job and the coaching job that Sponsky and his crew have done. They know what Southern Columbia wants to do.
Caught by Slater. He's got a first down to the 10-yard line and a gain of 20. And a brilliant throw by Latour, who read him and led him all the way.
Boy, you couldn't have said it better, Jed. Latour, watch him stand up here, and he fakes it once, and he's not quite sure he wants to throw it yet, and then he waits for Slater to open up a little bit. And watch this. Right there, he fakes it. And now look at his beautiful lead. Man, you can't throw it any better than that. There's the fake, and then the throw. Beautiful timing, great pace.
Earlier in the year, they did not have that available because Latour was more or less aiming before the guy went out to his break. You can see the maturity that he has now as he gets more game experience, leading the receiver all the way.
Not only did it show there, but it showed, Jed, as you pointed out, throughout the playoffs. And this is a kid who, over the course of the season, threw for a bunch of yards, a lot of it recently.
Slater cuts it back. Slater still on his feet and scores. What a run by Slater. Nothing available to the left side. Cut it back up the middle and score it. Southern Columbia leads for the first time. 5:59 remaining in the second quarter.
Kind of funny to watch Slater here. I think he kind of got lost in everything and just kind of hit for a second. You'll see him come across. He stops for a moment, looks things over. Now watch this. Right in here, here he is. And he kind of stops right there. And now he turns it back in and just says, oh, beats one tackle and heads home.
A lot of patience and pretty nifty footwork shown by a 6'1", 210-pound senior. And as we mentioned, he is in replacing Henry Hynoski, the 6', 210-pound freshman who's out with the ACL.
Pretty good hold that time to get the extra point down for Kreischer, who knocks it through there. And Southern Columbia, a long march, convert third down twice in that drive.
Well, if you're talking about a player of the game so far, right there he is.
Well, again, Slater, we just saw him and talked about him defensively in the last series, and here he is.
Defensively, let's bring it down Koenig, and then he says, I don't hear you yet. And then this beautiful play here, gorgeous pass from Latour, and heading on down here to get the set up for the touchdown, and then finishing it off, hiding right there, pacing himself, breaking one tackle, and heading for the end zone.
So they convert third down twice, fourth down once, and get in on the lead now, 14-7, and there's Slater.
5 plays, 36 yards, but the key, along with the pass, was also the punt return by Service. 23-yard punt return that put him in really good field position.
Jim Roth says, I love playing from the front. And he's there right now, 14-7 with 5:59 to go in the second quarter.
Well, last year we were talking, the storyline was, can they win the big one? Now I think there's just this confidence and this air about this team after blowing Rochester out a year ago. But Bishop Carroll, they were down 14-0 in the West Final last week against Springdale, and here comes Koenig. Pretty good run back, and that's what you want. Just take it right up in there, and he got it to the 37-yard line. Pretty good starting point here for the Huskies.
They've had success on their first drive. They haven't had success recently. You know, it's 5:51 left in the first half, but this is a very important drive for them just to have some success, not necessarily to score, but they need a couple of first downs because that actually the last 2 series, it's been all Southern Columbia.
Koenig for maybe a yard or two. Admire and Slater again converging on the tackle. Also there for Southern Columbia's Ryan Hall again.
Jordan Hoover and Brian Kelly opened up a pretty good hole that time, just for a moment closed down fast by Southern Columbia.
Really well scouted defensive unit, because you can see Admire and also Woodruff just kind of flow into where the holes are supposed to be.
Pass incomplete, a little too high that time for Takis. Well, visit us online, PCNTV.com, and you can also watch some of this, I understand, a little streaming video. Gotta love this new technology we're in. Could be anywhere and watch. And we'd love to hear your thoughts and comments, not only on this weekend's championship coverage, but on all programming on Pennsylvania's Championship Network, PCN, the Pennsylvania Cable Network. Delighted as well to be working with Service Electric this weekend as well. They've got this whole place wired for sound, and all the video and all the camera work that you see. They've done a brilliant job covering the Lehigh Valley. Now they get to share it with everybody around Pennsylvania today.
Gary, just out of curiosity, did you see the gun that Kirk Pfeiffer was shot out of? Because he came in on I mean, absolutely untouched, and I think faster than certainly Lisinski expected, but most other people too.
Yeah, it was straight up blocking that time by Bishop Carroll, and Pfeiffer just came like a jet up the middle there and forced the quick throw on the screen. Let's take a look and see if Koenig fools around with this one again. He ran a little bit last time before he punted it. I'm telling you what, wait, sometime in the game, he's going to take off with that.
Yep.
Pretty good kick, no return, and it's going to go to about the 21-yard line. Well, the field is beginning to get covered a little bit. Let's try and check in with Mike Cotta here and see what Mike has for us. Mike?
For Southern Columbia, Jed, a lot of rumors this week have been centering around their head coach, Jim Roth, and whether or not he will be coming back next year to coach Southern Columbia. His triplets are graduating from high school this year, and there have been some rumors on the internet that maybe Roth would try coaching in college. Published reports this week in Bloomsburg out of the Press Enterprise squelched that rumor. Roth says it looks like he'll probably come back next year.
Roth's been a teacher for 24 years at the school district, has 6 more to go till he's eligible for retirement. He said he wouldn't coach in high school again probably, but if he ever coaches again after Southern Columbia, it would be on the college level.
Well, we talked about Adams, or Dan Strong, in the pregame. There's his work at linebacker, middle linebacker. He calls all the defensive signals for Bishop Carroll. And you get a chance to see him in the open field here on Traw.
That's a dynamic play right there. Jed, you were talking about the field, and the A-Turf uses the pulverized granulated rubber on top of the surface. It's one of the reasons that they use the potassium chloride, because it keeps it from sticking together in weather like this, and the field's held up really well.
Here's Slater, another of those cutback moves, and he's got a first down. A gain of 11 to about the 32-yard line.
And I'll tell you who opened that one up was Josh Hoagland, the offensive tackle, number 60 that time, as the misdirection really bothering Bishop Carroll right now. Watch this, the misdirection. Here's Hoagland. Look at that. Just takes down Koenig, opens up the hole here on the near side. Here it again. You'll see it right here. Here's number 60, Hoagland, right there. Brings it around. Look at the tackle. Takes Koenig out, and up the middle goes Slater.
How about Latour, the quarterback, out in front of that?
But real patient feet that time by Ryan Slater, as he's shown really all afternoon. He's running well on this surface.
On both sides of the football.
Yeah.
Here's Latour, play action. All kinds of time, throws incomplete. And a man downfield that time, it was Cale Roth as they throw at him for the first time.
How about Forcellini on that? Talk about perfect timing. I think the crowd here wanted pass interference. You can see right there. But Forcellini with a good job. And let's see if he got there early. Watch this. Forcellini coming in from behind. Ooh, going for the ball, maybe right at the moment.
I favor the defensive.
You brought
back.
your tap shoes, didn't you, Gary?
I favor the defensive player more than some do.
So do I. I'm a guy. You're going for the ball. Hey, little rough and tumble out there. Who cares? It's football. It isn't ballet.
That is one of the toughest calls any official will have to make. The other is charging in basketball. Or is it charging, right? Ball is tipped into the air. It's intercepted. And a big haul down the sideline for Takis. Still going. And he dropped it at the 1-yard line, or at the 3.
38-yard return after picking it off the hands, and that's what happens when you have cold hands out here. Good blitz that time. Forced the quarterback, Dan Latour, to throw it maybe a little bit early. Takis is the man on the spot as he picks it off the hands, and here he goes. Watch this. Quick blitz that time, throws it, not a good throw. Never really had his hands on, never really got a good spiral. Now watch his ball, it's like end over end. There's Takis.
Watch the block by Kevin Westrick right there, number 1.
Well, he had 9 interceptions. He's a ball hawk, and now goal to go, Bishop Carroll, and you got to make it happen here. You don't get too many opportunities like this in a state championship game.
What's the chance of 28 handling it?
Pretty good. He's to the 2-yard line.
This is straight ahead right now. This team reminds you a little bit of the Central Bucks West teams. You know, nothing real fancy, some real good blocking up front with a good offensive line, and those 3 backs coming at you all the time. Just power it. Look at this. Give it to Koenig. Break a tackle right there. Good job, though, by converging Southern Columbia defense at the end.
Yeah, Kirk Pfeiffer, number 12, came in from underneath.
I think you got to run wide and try and cut back a little bit. I'm not sure what's available in here. They'll go to Koenig, pushing. Is he in? He's right at the edge. Touchdown, Bishop Carroll. They made the announcement over there.
I'll tell you what, just looked like a big scrum moving forward, and that's exactly what they wanted it to do that time as Koenig got in behind. And take a look here. Here's Koenig. Look at that blocking. Good job of pushing out that time by number 6, Landon Day, to really open up a little bit of a hole for him.
Great
job.
And
that's outstanding camera work, because you could see right from the get-go that he was over for the score.
Now the all-important extra point is up, and it is good. Those are a lot harder today than they look, and a flag is down. I wonder if we have a roughing in there.
I think we do. Maybe running into.
What a great name for that kicker there, too. Marcus Paduzzi.
The key here for Bishop Carroll is this got marked off on the kickoff. So they conceivably could be kicking from midfield if this is a 15-yarder. Here we go. We'll get the announcement here momentarily.
Personal foul, roughing the kicker against the defense. The extra point is good. The 15 yards will be assessed on the kickoff.
So they'll go from midfield, and on this kind of surface, who knows?
Well, with the wind, and notice.
Ooh, dangerous hit right there. Woodruff coming across, and take a look at him. There you go. There's the play.
Takis the interception.
Takis taking off, and finishing it off is Koenig, just powering it forward, and the game tied up. And just when it looked like Southern Columbia was getting ready to make a move and maybe to go up 2 touchdowns, man, how the game can turn around in a hurry.
There have been a schedule change because of the inclement weather and really an incoming storm that most of the weather people are in agreement is going to be significant here in central PA, where we're going to get anywhere from 10 to 14 inches, maybe more, Gary. Depends on southern regions. I know you're in York, and they're talking about a lot more, but the game is Sunday. They've been moved from tomorrow to Sunday. The AA championship, Northern Lehigh and Aliquippa, and then the Quad A game with North Penn and Pittsburgh Central Catholic is now Sunday, and all of those will be live here on Pennsylvania's championship network, Pennsylvania Cable Network, PCN.
There you see a winter wonderland right now as you look down through Hershey Stadium.
And this weekend's coverage presented by Wachovia. 2:56 remain. I make that to 45. I'm still NFL. You know, it takes me about a game to get all the, which, you know, where are we in high school, college, or NFL? So they'll squib it. And again, that gets a little hairy in there, and you've got this kind of glaze of ice on the surface.
Yeah, but a real smart play by the Bishop Carroll, or by the Southern Columbia player.
There it is. I mean, the footwork is holding up. I used that to kind of describe what the top layer is, but the field is definitely doing very well.
This is not quite like AstroTurf. It's a longer grass down there. You step on it. You can really get good traction in it. It's an outstanding surface. We've seen it during soccer season here also, as well as football. I know you've done a million games in here, Chad. Great surface. Everyone's loved it.
Here's Traw trying to find an opening. Not much there. Again, Bishop Carroll. There's Takis again, and I'll tell you, he's been in a lot of plays. Kevin Westrick, what, 9 interceptions on the year? Had the tip ball on the last one that led to the Takis interception that led to the touchdown. This time is in on another stop. Both teams with 3 timeouts remaining. Double handoff, this time big haul for Slater. Head down, first down. Big first down for Southern Columbia to try and stunt the momentum here for Bishop Carroll, and it's all the way to the 34-yard line.
That double handoff has worked all afternoon so far and has really taken, I think, the defense off guard, taking him right and then coming back. Watch this. Here, you start defense right now. Watch, right back through, and here's Slater. Another nice hole up front. Good block up front as well that time by Dan Latour himself, the quarterback. Look at this. Look at Latour putting the glove on there.
And
laying the leather.
Southern Columbia will use their first timeout.
Watch this. Latour coming through. And a great seal by Hoagland. And then you see Latour open it up and a nice dive forward.
Gary, when you talked about the turf and the fact that the length of the fiber is a little longer, that helps in a situation like this because it doesn't get as stiff. Plus, whenever you step on it, it almost cleans itself off.
It's a much softer surface, too, than you get with like an AstroTurf kind of thing. Much softer to land on. You don't see the number of injuries that you usually see on AstroTurf. So it's just been a wonderful surface. We watched it all season long in all kinds of conditions. Jed, you've seen it in snow, sleet, hail, the whole thing right now, and it holds up much like the Postal Service.
Well, the fibers itself are also pretty much indestructible, and the only maintenance to it is that you have to water it every once in a while just to keep the underfitting down, and then just to pour the pulverized rubber pellets down on it to keep it fluffed.
That's a football term, pulverized rubber. You know,
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Here comes Traw. He's got his first big opening of the day, and Traw, you can see his footwork and why he's a 1,100-yard plus guy on the year rushing the football, close to a first down, close enough, I think, to measure up near that 44-yard line.
We talked about Slater stepping in for Hynoski. Watch the block he throws out in the right-hand side here. There's Slater taking him in to the outside, taking him out of the play, and then Traw getting right on through. And Traw so far, 7 carries for 65 yards here in the first half, having a good, solid day. Especially after that injury, we thought he went down for a little while.
Here's the double handoff. This time, I think Bishop Carroll is on it. Loss of a half a yard. And in on the stop is Strong for Bishop Carroll. Timeout Southern Columbia with 1:56 remaining, as you can see on your screen there.
Dan Bukowski, the defensive tackle, number 78, smelled that one out and dove in under. 5'11", 250-pound junior, and did a nice job of submarining that time.
Yeah, I think we'll see also Bodenschantz, number 5. There he is standing up the blocker and helping out on that play.
Let's go to Mike Conti. Mike?
Let's talk a little bit more about the self-cleaning analogy about this artificial surface. It's A-turf. It has the longer fiber. As we pan on down here, I'll show you what's happening. Right now, if you step on the turf, yeah, the snow's being expelled, but also the potassium chloride is doing its job. It clumps up like this, and then it spreads back out. So the footing on this field is very good. The only problem is the wind has picked up. The temperature has dropped a little bit. We're in a little break right now, but the snow has been harder here in the second quarter. So the field's fine, but the weather around us is certainly getting a little bit worse.
And also the sound effect. You can hear that wind blowing through Mike's microphone right there. It's tough down there. But you're in your nice warm living room watching us here on Pennsylvania's Championship Network. Good throw, but a drop by Hall as he slides across, incomplete. Pretty good throw, Latour, though.
Caught him just a little bit behind that time and trying to get his footing. He slipped down. Latour set it up, and you'll see just a little bit behind the receiver here as he has to reach back a little bit to get it and can't quite do it.
We saw Hall slide a little bit, but that was he would have slid on most fields on a day like this.
Problem right now for the quarterback, it's hard to field the football when you're throwing that pass. It's almost like throwing a rock.
Yep.
3rd and 11. Latour, play action. Looking, he had a man downfield. Now he's going to run himself. He's going to have a first down, steps out of bounds to stop the clock. 15 more on top of that as he got hit about a step out of bounds. And a big play coming for Southern Columbia. Huge play coming.
You can see Tackix throwing his head back there as he was clearly going out of bounds, got nailed at least 2 yards out. Latour with a good play there, just kind of smelling out, seeing a lot of daylight in front and weaving his way out.
Personal foul against Bishop Carroll. So the 15-yard penalty will come from the 39-yard line. So they're going down to about the 24-yard line, 1st and 10 here.
There you see it in Tackix. He knew what he had done. Tackix came over and threw his head back after he'd hit him. Hard to make yourself stop there when you're heading to the side. You can see Tackix going, what'd I do?
Tell you what, he had Cale Roth wide open downfield.
Yeah, but a nice job pressure by 67 Brian Kelly. Speaking of which, coming off the field, Josh Hoagland, the 6'3", 245-pound senior offensive tackle, came off limping a little bit.
Looks like he's okay, though. He's working it out on the side himself, not even bothering to sit down with the trainer. Those big horses, that's like a gnat hit him a little extra hard, you know. He says, let me just brush this off. We'll be back in the moment.
That was good stuff with what Mike had on the field with the solution that they put on.
The reason they put that solution down there, I think we mentioned it earlier, is the fact that if it gets in your eyes, in the player's eyes, it's not going to hurt them, as opposed to like a salt kind of mixture where it gets in your eyes, you're going to get that stinging and all that other stuff that happens to you.
I'm sure Craig Sponsky has seen his team play a little better.
Encroachment on a defense. It's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
Back-to-back penalties have given up 20 yards of field position and has set Southern Columbia up now at the Bishop Carroll 19-yard line.
And all while the clock was stopped.
With 1st and 5. Here's Latour. Going to throw a fade. Looking. Caught. Dropped. Oh, Ryan Hall had it. Dropped it. There he is.
He doesn't drop many, I'll tell you. And that was right where you want to put it. And Latour says, I'm not sure how I can throw it any better than that, Ryan.
Good pass protection that time, and it helped that Hoagland was back in, not to be a Nebby, but he came in when they called the penalty, and that officially is not a play run.
That will not be one that Ryan will remember in the future, except in a negative way. 24 catches, by the way, for the year for 471 yards and 3 touchdowns, and that was almost number 4 right there.
They have so much confidence in him. They'll go back to him before the day is done. Here's Latour. Back again, looks, throws. Roth, did he catch it? Nope, didn't have possession. Out of bounds. It'll be 3rd and 5.
Boy, it sure looked like he held that. It sure looked like he held it that time. That's one you kind of have to disagree with the official on.
Well, we're going to chance you can be the official at home.
Watch this. Does he hold it long enough? 1, 2. He's out of bounds. Looks to me like he had the ball. 13 catches for 334 yards for 3 touchdowns for Roth this year, and I agree with you.
That's 0 for his last 5 with an interception for Dan Latour.
Problem is the last 2 should have both been caught.
Yep. Yeah, he's 0 for 5, but not his fault.
Box score doesn't come with that, though. Here's Latour again throwing, and behind the intended receiver, too far in front, rather, of Traw.
Latour got whacked by Bodenschatz. Wow. Stood in there tremendously, but this has been a game that really, it looks like the defensive lines have done most of the work, because the defensive lines are making plays all the time. We saw Kelly with the pressure before. That time Bodenschatz with the big pressure.
I'm a little surprised Southern Columbia went to the pass so fast. Almost got a little desperate. They got handed 20 yards without the clock. They still got 1:25 to go and didn't really go to the ground game. It's been pretty good to them so far. Here comes the blitz.
Latour can keep it himself. He's got a 1st down. Still going. And he's winding and still clutching it to about the 7-yard line. And a gain of 12 by Latour, the quarterback, who does the right thing again. It's been his running on this drive that has really hurt Bishop Carroll.
Jeremy Fowler, 67, with a block out here. Just enough to allow Latour to cut back on it.
They beat the blitz out of the middle linebacker spot that time, and those linebackers coming up that time vacated that whole secondary area, and Latour had free running room.
Landon Day on the stop. Here's Traw trying to get an escort service built in front. Now he's going to fight for further yardage down to about the 3-yard line, and 1 timeout remains for Southern Columbia.
Look at Troy. He's not that big, 5'10", 185 pounds. But I'll tell you what, showed you a little power right there, getting a few extra yards at the end of that run.
And this has been a long drive. This will be the 12th play on this drive.
You see Landon Day. And there you see what it looks like over in the stands right now. A balmy summer day here at Hershey Stadium.
That's tough, man.
Gentle zephyrs.
Here's Slater running, touchdown.
Same exact play they used last time.
Yeah, they're saying touchdown. The ball came out, and there was a wild scramble for it, but Slater, kind of a similar play to his 10-yard touchdown run, his ability to cut back. He's just very comfortable running on an off track now.
Yeah, and patient as well, because that was another situation, and we'll see here that the hole wasn't. See, it takes a little bit of time, but Nice patience to cut back in, and yeah, he's in, and then the ball comes out.
Good job of pulling that time was Blaine Madeira. Watch him get in behind him. Madeira leads the way, and there's the hole. You get through, and Slater in for his second touchdown of the game.
So Southern Columbia riding the seesaw here in the first half. Slater's got 2 touchdowns. He's up near 10 tackles at linebacker on defense. He's been the player of the game thus far. Also, in that series, you got to give Latour a lot of credit. Stood in there, took some vicious hits, had a couple of drops, but it was his running that was the key in the whole thing.
Yeah, he's a tough kid, and you know, he got whacked about 4 times on that drive, and still made the key plays. Made the run that got him there.
Let's go down to Mike Conti. Mike?
Well, you mentioned Latour and his running ability. You know, that's something he really concentrated on this summer. As soon as last season ended, as a matter of fact, some of the assistant coaches immediately got him into speed and agility training. It's something he worked on throughout the winter and throughout the summer as well into training camp. So certainly the results of that training paid off on that drive. His third down run was the big play of the drive.
Talk about Latour coming into this game, 84 rushes for 418 yards, 6 touchdowns, and really set up this last touchdown with 2 wonderful runs during that series.
Yep.
He worked with assistant coach Mike Johnson on a lot of that Mike was just talking about. And the kick is up by Tresher, and it is good. Tresher. Well, there's some of the fans that are braving the elements here on this 2003 PIAA Football Championships. First of 2 today. Coming up tonight, we'll be on with you at 7 o'clock on Pennsylvania's Championship Network, the Pennsylvania Cable Network. It'll be Manheim Central against Pine Ridgeland. And we talked about his running ability, guys, and here's one of the big ones, and there was a penalty at the end of this.
Well, there you go, and then he's hit out of bounds by Tackix, and then he sets it up again. He's back, he's caught, linebacker blitz, beats it, gets into that secondary, and where the linebackers used to be, it's now Latour off to the races to set up the touchdown run by Slater.
On both Southern Columbia scoring drives, they've had to convert a 4th down, and they have been successful 2 for 2. And there's Slater. Your brother Nick Slater, who played here about 8 years ago, was a heck of a football player. We saw a lot of him at Mansion Park in Altoona. He was something else.
We saw their first game for the championship at 8 Mansion Park in Altoona. Remember that double overtime game they had? Was it was from out of this district, wasn't it?
Correct.
Forest, you remember all this stuff. You have the photographic memory. Forest Hills, yeah.
1994.
Double overtime game. It was an outstanding game.
And again, a very similar thing where they didn't give Forest Hills much of a chance, at least in the eastern part of the state. And a lot of people, Southern was a heavy favorite in this game based on their experience.
What's interesting, Forest Hills, the only other District 6 team ever to play in this championship. It's been all District 7 other than that.
Mike Zambelli, Jim Wells with you at halftime coming up. Zambelli, excuse me.
That'd be nice, those Italian guys. They get a little rough if you miss their names.
Well, Mike's going to kill me when he sees me. I'm sure I'll never hear the end of that.
Woodruff on the tackle that time for the Tigers. 14 seconds left. I'm honestly surprised, given the weather and the strength of these 2 defenses, that there's been 5 touchdowns scored. And on long drives. I mean, that last drive, 12 plays.
I think it talks about the mettle of both these teams dealing with not just the other team, which is outstanding, but the issues as well.
Intercepted by Roth. Pass intended for Koenig downfield.
Well, you only have 7 seconds to go. I guess you figure that's, you know, it's like a punt at this point with the elements being what they are. It'll be interesting to see now what Southern Columbia does. Are they satisfied to go in or take one shot themselves on the other side?
I gotta believe,
touch a knee and be done with this.
Oh, well, I was going to say just the opposite. I think you do take a shot.
I think it's time for your California Stanford play right here.
Yeah.
They have a little fun.
They have them on their heels a little bit, and they have some offensive rhythm going with the long drives.
Yep. Quick handoff.
Combination.
That'll be it.
If his knee would have touched first, you'd have been right. He'd have gone all the way out of it.
A very entertaining first half. Southern Columbia will go to the locker room with a 21-14 lead, but Bishop Carroll has the +1 and giveaway takeaway, and they converted that into a short touchdown to stay close. Southern Columbia by 7. We are at halftime, and let's go over to Mike Zambelli and Jim right now. Mike, how are you?
Be a part of the action. PIAA is actively seeking individuals to become PIAA registered officials. PIAA presently registers officials in 12 different sports and sponsors 60 championships for its 1,384 member schools. With over 250,000 students participating in athletics annually, the need for qualified individuals to officiate these programs is vital. The PIAA has over 12,000 registered officials, one of the largest officials groups in the National Federation of State High School Associations. However, with the growth of middle school programs, PIAA is facing statewide shortages of officials in soccer, swimming and diving, field hockey, and track and field. Any individual who is a high school graduate or 18 years of age or older is encouraged to get involved. For more information, check out the PIAA website at www.piaa.org or call the PIAA office at 1-800-382-1392.
It is $24.99. It's been marked down from $25.99. It's really a bargain if you call today. These stones are commonly found in Brazil and Australia.
At Wachovia, we learn from the world around us and realize that nothing in life can be too convenient. Wachovia Convenience, so you can bank anyway, any place, anytime. Wachovia.
Celebrate the Commonwealth on the Pennsylvania Cable Network, available exclusively on local cable television systems. PCN is funded by cable companies in Pennsylvania, many of whom were responsible for creating this public affairs service. Don't miss out on state legislative coverage and carriage of significant Pennsylvania events. Only on PCN and only on local cable. It's one more great reason to stay connected with the proud cable company in your area.
PCN Tours, Pennsylvania Cable Network's series of video visits to manufacturing plants, is now available in book form. The book is a companion to the popular television show and highlights 28 Pennsylvania companies, featuring images from the production process alongside the words from each program. Relive your favorite PCN tours or share the tradition of Pennsylvania industry with family and friends. The book also includes contact information for hundreds of facilities showcased on the television series. To order the book, send a check for $26 payable to the Pennsylvania Cable Network, 401 Fallowfield Road, Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, 17011. Visa and MasterCard may also be used for PCN Tours book purchases by calling the network toll-free at 1-866-PCN-8433. Prices include shipping and state sales tax.
Welcome back. We are at the half here. Mike Zambelli. I'm joined by Jim Wills. As you can see, they are still cleaning off this surface, and boy, did it hold up marvelously in that first half. Jim, I thought a great first half of football. Are you surprised in any way? 35 points in this kind of weather, I think, is a tribute to the efficiency of both coaches and both teams offensively.
Exactly, Mike. I think the way that they run the football, both teams, has been excellent all year, and it came to fruition today, obviously, as well. But the thing that surprised me a little bit is the way that Southern Columbia could pass there, especially down towards the end of the second quarter. But the running games have been efficient for both teams very, very well today.
Yeah, we both felt coming in that obviously the play of the quarterbacks on a day like today was going to be very critical, and I think both quarterbacks have handled the elements, have handled playing in a championship game as well as could be expected.
They have, Mike, and I don't really think the coaches have really deviated from their game plans whatsoever. I think they've come in with a set plan, and they're really executing it very, very well.
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams got off to great starts here this afternoon, with each scoring on their first possessions. We're going to take a look at some highlights here, and touchdowns, as we mentioned. 35 points in the first half, and I think that has to be somewhat of a surprise to both teams. Here's Bishop Carroll as Todd Koenig was able to get into the end zone, that capping a 10-play, 73-yard drive. And there you see for Southern Columbia, that was Traw, who was eventually hurt in the first half, finding his way into the end zone. Ryan Slater, a terrific half on both sides of the football, as the guys up in the booth appropriately alerted to there.
Todd Koenig did a good job as well. and you're going to see a lot of situations happening that you have down below that, that you're going to have some good blocking underneath. And I'll tell you, on this slippery turf, Mike, that's the other thing that's been very impressive, that the blocking of the offensive lineman has been very, very efficient.
Jim, I think it's pretty interesting to note Jim and I are undercover here, but believe it or not, things are just coming sideways, so there really is no safe place. And I think, again, a real tribute to the caliber of these football teams, the caliber of football game that we are seeing here this afternoon. I think both coaches have to be pleased with what they've seen so far, and we have seen some defense. I mean, at times we've had some turnovers, and both teams have really played well at times on stopping the other team. Let's get a look at Bishop Carroll here first.
You're going to see that there's been a lot of good penetration. Dan Strong, number 21, got in there very early that time, and you're going to see that they tried to get that running game going at times there, but you have also Kevin Westrick coming in there doing a good job, and then you see Latour, nice job of handling the football, but number 1 gets in there again, Westrick, to make a nice stop at first, and then gets a lot of French to help him out there, and also number 28, as we said, Todd Koenig, doing a good job from his linebacker spot.
Koenig, again, I think he can put into the Slater category of playing at both ends. There you see Westrick with the tip into the hands of number 10 on the return is Joel Takis. His 10th interception of the year, and of course, what a big one there, because that one then led to a touchdown and it ultimately tied the game up at 14 apiece. But Jim, I think a real turning point in the game, and a little bit more maybe for Southern Columbia. I thought their quarterback Latour did a great job of keeping his head up and continuing to run the offense.
He did an excellent job, Mike, there at the end of the half, driving that team down the field. And you said he came back with confidence. That he doesn't get shaken. And these interceptions in the championship game didn't shake him one bit. Came back with a great drive and had a great run on third down to really keep him in that drive.
I really think we're seeing why both these two teams have earned their way into the right to play for this championship, of course. Now let's take a look at Southern Columbia defensively, and they have played well as well on the defensive end of the ball. Let's take a look at the Tigers.
Well, you're going to see a good job. Slater is just all over the field there, Mike, and the 6'1", 210-pounder has just been able to do everything well. You see the pump fake. They were going to go inside, and then they hit him on the outside and a little fly to the drift out of the backfield, which was an excellent call on Coach Ross' part. And you see him here. He's got a lot of speed, doesn't rush the situation, uses his offensive lineman very well.
Well, and Slater's an interesting story. He had a brother that came through this program and, believe it or not, played on one of those teams that did not have the success of the 9 teams that have been to this championship game in the last 10 years. And he's playing for his brother a little bit. He talked about it openly. He says, I'm carrying a little bit of that with my brother. And boy, I'll tell you, the way he's played on both sides, he has played like 2 young men here this afternoon.
He has. He's played a whale of a game on both sides of the football. And the other thing we have to remember is Southern Columbia missing Henry Hynoski in the backfield, 700-some yards over the year. He's making up for it in that situation, running the ball himself for him.
Well, and Hynoski, of course, a familiar name. His dad played for the Browns, and I know you and I do a little Lehigh coverage in our day, and Mary Hynoski, his sister, is an outstanding player for Sioux Troy, and so a very athletic family, and I know they miss him, but it goes back to the point where we talked about with Southern Columbia having an awful lot of weapons, and we're seeing that.
You're going to see it. They just spread the ball around. Everybody gets a good chance to do what they need to do, and they've done an excellent job so far today of spreading the wealth, and I'll tell you, the passing game is what surprises, and I'm sure it's been surprising the other team.
All right, let's take a look now, a little bit closer look at both these programs, starting with Southern Columbia. And here is their road to Hershey. Of course, their only loss of the year was to Mount Carmel, and of course, there's no shame to that. I also want to mention that Hynoski's father played at Mount Carmel, but Jim, as we look at that schedule, they have had things pretty much their own way.
It's been a good schedule for me. You see, they had to play Bloomsburg twice. That's awfully tough to play a football team twice in 1 year with that playoff win and down at the end there. So they did a good job, and then last week against Lackawanna Trail just really dominated that game 42-8.
Well, the numbers that add up there, they averaged 41.4 points per game offensively, giving up 10.5 defensively, and I think that's one of the things that also sticks out of all the teams that are here in the championship weekend here in Hershey. They all have the ability to shut you down defensively. I'm really a little bit surprised at the points we've seen here in this first half. I know I keep saying that, but I'm really surprised at that. Let's take a look now at Bishop Carroll. Of course, the Huskies making their first championship game appearance after knocking on the door for 4 successive years. They are unbeaten at 14-0, and while they trail here by 7 at the half, they have certainly played a good 24 minutes of football.
Well, Coach Sponsky said in the beginning, and when he was interviewed before the game, he says these seniors have been the leadership, and you can see they've done a great job this year. As you can see the scores there, they ran up a lot of points in a lot of different games, and the seniors have been down this road 2 or 3 times because they've been in that championship game out in the districts, and they've done a great job in those playoff wins. Came back, they were down last week to Springdale and came back to win that game 28-20.
Yeah, you see a real test there in the middle of the season against Johnstown, Somerset the next week, but more often than not scoring more than 40 points, as you can read through their entire schedule. Bishop Guilfoyle, Northern Cambria, Clarion Limestone, and of course Springdale last week. Offensively averaging 35.4 a game, defensively giving up 10.7 a game, and they really have done a nice job of establishing themselves. I thought they really set the tone of this first half by taking the opening kickoff and marching right down the field. Let's take a look now at where these two teams play and the leagues that they play in. First of all, for Southern Columbia, the Central Susquehanna Conference, Division II, and Jim, a perennial league power, obviously, as they're making their 6th straight championship game appearance. But Southern Columbia, you see Bloomsburg there, had a good year at 5-2. Central Columbia, along with Hughesville and Loyalsock at 4-3. South Williamsport 2-5, along with Warrior Run and Lewisburg. And we thought it would be a good idea to recognize the leagues that these teams come out of and where they're tested and prepare themselves to get to championship weekend.
Mike, the thing most people don't understand is, this is 9 out of 10 times they've been down to this situation here, being in Hershey, and you got to be good and you got to reload every year, and you really got to work on it. And that league is tough to get out of every year, but they've done an excellent job, and Coach Roth is just to be commended for it.
Again, we take a pan over Hershey Park Stadium here as they continue to work. Snow coming down so hard right now that you can see that it is starting to accumulate as this game goes on. For Bishop Carroll, they, of course, representing the western part of the state. They're out in the Laurel Highlands Athletic Conference. Section 2, Carroll finishing at 5-0, 14-0 overall, playing here this afternoon. Johnstown, very good program at 4-1, 9-2, nice record there. Bishop McCourt at 3-2, 6-4 overall. Somerset 2-3. 4-6, Westmont Hilltop, and of course Richland Township struggling through a winless season here this year. That, of course, a look at the Lower Highlands Athletic Conference. Snow continues to fall here, Jim, as we look ahead now to the second half. I find it hard pressed for either offense to do more than what they did in the first half.
Exactly, Mike. I mean, there's nothing more that they could really do. There's nothing that the coaches could go into the locker room at halftime and say, offensively, we broke down anywhere. I really think that they're very pleased with the offense. I think defensively, both teams a little bit more points than they're used to giving up early, and that's a thing that they might address a little bit at halftime.
Are you surprised at the amount of passes that Southern Columbia has thrown in this?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I'm surprised that they really come out throwing the ball, especially on those in that last drive a little bit, especially after he threw the interception. I thought they might really tuck that ball in and pound it down, but he came out and he did a great job.
Yeah, Gary Sutton, one of the announcers up in the booth, obviously talking about the weight programs, and I thought we really saw evidence of that in the first half as the offensive lines played well as well. One of these two teams, 24 regulation minutes away from a state championship. Second half when we return.
PIAA is a nonprofit corporation organized on a membership basis. Members include public and private high schools in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The purpose of PIAA is to develop and enforce rules which are adopted by the member schools. PIAA is divided into 11 geographic districts, each of which has a district committee elected by the member schools within the district. Each district committee elects a chairman to represent the district on the PIAA Board of Directors. PIAA's main objectives are to establish and enforce rules of eligibility for high school athletes, adopt playing rules for each sport, register officials, organize and operate 27 championships in 10 girls sports, and organize and operate 31 championships in 11 boys sports. PIAA does all of this without federal or state funds. Its principal source of revenue is the sale of tickets to playoffs and championships. PIAA believes that the student athlete is best served by a system which emphasizes the amateur, educational, and character-building aspects of high school sports, and which recognizes that students are in school primarily to obtain an education.
Hello, and welcome to the Pennsylvania Cable Network. We're delighted to join with you in celebrating high school athletics in the Commonwealth. Everything that we do here at PCN, from our daily coverage of the General Assembly to programs exploring manufacturing, from coverage of significant Pennsylvania events to our satellite distribution across the state, all of this is made possible by Pennsylvania cable television companies which carry our service on their channel lineup. Often at PCN, we'll list the names and service areas of local cable providers. These are the community-minded companies which pay a monthly fee to cover network programming and operating costs. PCN receives no state funding. We are supported instead through the generosity of cable systems which make PCN available to their subscribers. In watching high school sports on PCN, we hope you'll remember the commitment of Pennsylvania cable television companies. They're the ones that make this network and today's programming possible.
The Pennsylvania Cable Network, your exclusive television home for PIAA state championship sports. Throughout the scholastic season, the Commonwealth's best high school teams and athletes compete for state gold on PCN. For a complete listing of championship dates and times, visit our website at pcntv.com. PCN, Pennsylvania's championship network.
PCN Tours, Pennsylvania Cable Network's series of video visits to manufacturing plants, is now available in book form. To order the book, send a check for $26 payable to the Pennsylvania Cable Network, 401 Fallowfield Road, Camp Hill, Pennsylvania 17011. Visa and MasterCard may also be used for PCN Tours book purchases by calling the network toll-free at 1-866-PCN-8433. Prices include shipping and state sales tax.
Back in frigid Hershey, the sweetest place on earth, is one of the coldest places in Pennsylvania here this afternoon, but a red-hot football game as we're gearing up for second half action right now. The Tigers of Southern Columbia riding two Slater touchdowns to a 21-14 lead. Ryan Slater, not Nick. Nick played this stuff back in Altoona, Mansion Park, and it's like snowing sideways right now. We're going to get a sideline report on this weather with Mike Conti, but Jed Donahue along with Steve Bowen, the coach, Kerry Sutton, and I'm freezing, okay? I saw Mike and Jim down there. They're fine, no big deal, but it's cold up here and certainly down there. But this is a great first half of action so far.
It has been, and I think Mike and Jim pointed out that everybody's got to be surprised at how much Southern Columbia has thrown the football. And, you know, much like we talked about Bishop Carroll with their running game, that they're going to run and run and run, and even if you stop them, they're going to run some more. I was impressed with the fact that they passed it. They had a little lull where the quarterback went 0 for 5 with an interception, and they come right back and throw it again. And that's confidence in your overall program, because they already proved in the first quarter they can run the football.
Well, one of the interesting parts was, was Bishop Carroll going to get off to a good start? Well, they got off to a great start. 4 minutes and 19 seconds in, used a long drive, and finally got through. So we're going to have a look at some of the action from the first half. And Gary, when you're in a first game ever championship environment, always getting off to this kind of start, very good. And it was Koenig in from 5 yards out, but he had a circus 35-yard catch. And here's Traw early.
Side, you saw Traw coming back and even the score up on a 65-yard scamper. And then you come back here and another job by this time Slater. You see him hiding there and then dancing into the end zone. We're going to see a replay of that a little bit later on in the shorter run. And the interception play.
This set up the short field for Koenig. It was Coxix who had the interception return to the 3-yard line, and then Southern Columbia on the lead. Again, Slater, a mutter, Steve, looks good on an off track early.
Yeah, and as everybody has mentioned, kind of surprised that the field has held up as well as it has. We look at halftime statistics and the coaches circling rushing yards, 202 to 28. That speaks volumes. But yet still, it's only a 7-point game.
But those points off turnovers, there's one turnover there for Southern Columbia, but 7 points for Bishop Carroll, and that's kept them within shouting distance here of just 7. Kind of a well-played game, as you would expect, with two teams that are in a championship environment. Only 5 penalties in the first half, but one pass interference penalty against Southern Columbia kept that Bishop Carroll initial drive going, and that's what led to the touchdown.
But here's another big stat here. Look at 10-4 in first downs. 35 plays to only 21 plays on the other side for Bishop Carroll. Southern Columbia leading in that. And you'd have thought Bishop Carroll really needed to have that number be much more even, or maybe even up a little bit with the kind of possession football that they play. So Southern Columbia has really had the better of it so far, holding on to the football and keeping that Bishop Carroll defense on the field.
Well, I saw Brandon Traw get a 40-yard run for a touchdown for Southern Columbia's first score, but he was also hurt in this first half, and this gives you an idea of the ferocity inside. And again, he got caught right underneath in here, Gary.
Right there. You see the ankle and went down and just losing it. But, yeah, I mean, it's not a place for the faint of heart. It's cold. It hurts. It just nasty. And you see Traw coming up. Unfortunately, came back a little bit later on, but gets out of the game for some momentary attention.
And they're lucky that was all that happened in there, because it looks like his foot got stuck in there. He got high-load a little bit, but 68 yards, 40 on one swing of the bat for the touchdown in that first half. This is a guy they have to have the rest of the way.
Well, and we thought that going in, and that's still probably true, but I'm as impressed with the guys who have come in to replace Traw when he was injured. Hynoski, who hasn't played all game long. Slater's been really good. We saw Adams, who is normally the starter at fullback, but he's had some good runs. They've just done an outstanding job, I think, of handling whatever the situation is. A big play or big key was when Bishop Carroll intercepted, short field, went in, tied the score, and they came right back with a 12-play, 5-minute drive. That was huge.
I remember in 1996 when Southern Columbia made the state championship game, and Gary, you were there with me in Altoona. They had Rico Rossini at that point in time, 1,500-yard guy during the regular season, tore his knee up in the Eastern Final, and they didn't have anybody to back him up. And Steve, you were talking about all the other guys that they have, and today they're without Hynoski, and in comes Ryan Slater, and Slater has been magnificent in the first half on both sides of the football. We've got him for 11 tackles, and you can see the kind of pursuit he's getting here.
And look at him here, and you're going to see him again right here. Beautiful play. There's the guy, too, the first half. Latour, talk about poise, and then the great catch out
and that was 4th and 5 for 20 yards to get that drive alive.
And then Slater hides right here for a moment, dances into the end zone from there. He's going to come back with the same exact play for the next touchdown, and you'll see it again. Almost looks like a replay, and there it is, and back into the end zone for 2 touchdowns. So Slater on the offense, very strong today, and there you see him, number 32, 6 carries, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hey, not a bad day as a replacement.
Well, I think one of the keys, if you look at Slater, you look at Traw, you look at Snarsky and Adams, you're going to see anywhere between 6 to 8 carries, and they've spread it around. Latour's run the ball very well. They've really figured out that they need to spread it out, that they need to do something besides run the football, but when push comes to shove, push wins with these guys. They run it.
We talked about Todd Koenig as Bishop Carroll goes on offense. So does this guy. He's done pretty well. We talked about his touchdown, but it was this catch, a 50-50 ball, that set up the touchdown on their initial possession here.
Double coverage, and Koenig just shows superior athletic ability, goes up over everybody with that side and says, give it to me, and then runs it in for the touchdown after that.
But again, they have marked him off. When you have his kind of numbers, what you have, Matt? 1,600 yards?
1,600 yards.
So, I mean, this has been the Southern Columbia's main focus and film work all week long, and you can see just 7 carries for what, 13 yards, something along those lines. So
7 carries for 13 yards thus far, and actually 8 carries for 14 yards in the game so far.
You can see that the lights, the snow has picked up here. We've got another game tonight. The winds have picked up. It's a winter wonderland here in Hershey, and our Mike Conti is down there. He's probably the bravest one of them all on our crew here. Michael?
Wonderland? That's what you call it, I'll tell you. It's not a wonderland down here. The good news was during halftime it stopped snowing. Then it started raining. Now it's snowing again. But the one thing that did, if we look down at the field here, the snow's very wet now, and it's actually kind of tough to kick aside. So the footing on the field, although they zambonied it during halftime, it is snow covered, but the footing is fine.
And we are ready to start this second half, and Southern Columbia will get it. They'll go against the wind. This will be Traw, just kind of picking his way forward, and Traw breaks free and gets to about, let's say the 36-yard line.
And really now, this becomes an absolutely must kind of series, I think, as the weather gets worse, the snow gets worse. If you can keep that other defensive team on the field for a while and cash in some more points, they become bigger and bigger and bigger here. I know that sounds so oversimplified, Steve, but it's the truth.
Well, it isn't oversimplified because you've got 2 other things to consider, and I think one of them now is really going to be the weather. This is not going to be the same as the first half was. It's getting nasty.
Traw, first carry, is going to be hit and dropped from behind. Brian Kelly was in on a lot of plays in that first half. There he is, 6'1", 260-pound senior for Bishop Carroll.
With saying that the weather's getting nasty, as we see here. Watch the cut the Traw makes. There isn't any problem with the field. It's going to be how these guys handle the snow, the cold, the wet, and everybody says, well, once you get going and once you warm up, everything's fine.
Also, I think this affects Southern Columbia because it's one of those like pellet type snows that's going right into Southern Columbia's face right now as they are against the wind. 2nd and 10. Double handoff. This has worked well for them. Slater this time, and Kelly's got him from behind again.
Now, where that was effective in the first half, I think it's going to become even more effective in the second half here. The defense getting drawn to one side and then having to change up and come back, and little slippage here, and someone could break it for a big touchdown.
So Slater gets his first carry. This double handoff, Steve, has worked well so far.
It's one of my all-time favorite high school plays, and when it's run well, it is so effective.
A lot of people run that infrequently. They run that as a matter of their play selection all the time here at Southern Columbia.
Big 3rd and 8 coming here for Southern Columbia. Maybe bigger for Bishop Carroll, trying to get him to kick into the wind. Here's Latour, who's run well in the first half, dances out, maybe short of a first down. But the way they're marking it, I think he's got it.
Yeah. Oh, he definitely has it.
Got it up near that 48-yard line. He got 9 out of that.
Latour has been such a heady kid all afternoon, and Latour just did a great job. Watch him get in behind right here. You see number 45 leading out there, Adams, and Latour knows exactly where he has to go. He steps right over at that line. You see it here again. Good pull in the block again. There's Adams leading the way, getting right in behind him, and now he knows right where to step out. Gets the first down.
Big time block by 62 Blaine Madera, too. He was out there.
There you go. Here's the outfit of the day. Looks like a giant butterfly.
Now the ball is officially at the 48-yard line, 1st and 10. That's a big 3rd down pickup for Southern Columbia. Drop the snap. They give it to Slater, and they get back to the line of scrimmage. Tackle is made by Westrick. What a game he's had. For Bishop Carroll. Also in on the stop is going to be Bodenschantz, who's also been around a lot of plays today defensively for the Huskies.
You mentioned about a big 3rd down pickup. Latour with just a really big 1st down pickup, fumbled the snap and was heady enough to just grab it, and the play continued. That could have been a tough play for the junior quarterback.
And why do I have a feeling that's not going to be the last time we'll see the ball fumbled a little bit later today here in the second half? We're just getting underway.
Adams, first carry, he's run well now into the clear. He's got a first down and more, and he rumbles to the 35 of Bishop Carroll, a gain of 15.
I'll tell you what, you look right over the center again. Dan Kreischer has been fantastic today. You're going to look at number 59, and Adams goes right over top him. Watch Kreischer bolt out here, stand his man up, and here right through the middle comes Adams, and it's just north-south running, nothing spectacular, just effective, and Kreischer again opens up another big hole.
Again, that depth at running back that they have developed over the last couple of years, paying big dividends here this afternoon. Here's Adams again. Adams gets to the outside, has 5, close to about 8 or 9, even close to a first down, depends on the spot, as he's up near about the 25-yard line.
Good surge again by the line of Southern Columbia, and a good job on the outside by Brandon Traub, actually throwing a block that got him around the corner.
We've talked an awful lot about the offense and
right there you saw Traub throwing himself down, getting him around the corner, and that's all you needed to do.
But the inside handoffs and the double handoffs, and it sounds like it's fancy schmancy football. It is behind the line of scrimmage. It's really quite simple at the line of scrimmage.
Old student body left there for USC.
Here's Traub looking for a seam, not much there. Another big tackle that time. All over is Landon Day today for Bishop Carroll. Also Kelly again. Boy, Kelly has come out with a different focus here in this second half. He's been on every tackle. There's Chuck Sponsky on the far side. You get an idea how hard it is coming down. It's that fine granulated powder.
I think we need to see a lot of air game here the second half, guys.
Adams into the pile for a gain of 2 or 3. He's up near the 21-yard line. It'll be 3rd and about 7 coming back now for Southern Columbia.
And this comes up 2 big plays here for Bishop Carroll, because you know they're going to go for it on 4th down.
Coming up tonight, Mannheim Central, Pine Richland, the gold medal game in AAA. tomorrow's schedule has been moved to Sunday. The AA championship game between Northern Lehigh and Aliquippa will start at 1 o'clock. The Quad A championship game between Central Catholic and North Penn at 5 o'clock Sunday as a result of this weather forecast. Looks like we're on the leading edge of what they said was the secondary front.
Look at Latour's ball handling here.
Gonna throw, pass caught. He's got a man. It's the tight end, Doug Woodruff.
What a great job of ball handling by Latour. He has had such great presence in this game so far. Hides the fake very well, holds the ball. Watch him take the ball back here. Here he is right here. Now look, just pinning it right there, fakes it, comes on out. Nice safe pass out here in the flat. The kind of pass, if you don't complete it, it's not going to be an interception.
Yeah, but at the same time, played very well by number 3, Lauer. He does a great job of making the tackle right there. So it brings up 4th and about 4.5.
It's a huge play right now. You've got to think for Bishop Carroll to try to get some momentum back in this game. They've been on their heels here for about the last 7 minutes of this game, starting back in the second quarter.
4th and 4. Latour is going to run. He's got an escort service out in front. He's got a first down and more. And he's all the way down to, I believe, the 12-yard line. There might be goal to go in there. Again, the yards. I think he's at about the 8-yard line. So you'll have to pardon me. I'll make mistakes, but it's all covered up over there. We're doing the best we can up here.
There again, they pulled the guard Beislein. Watch it. He's leading out there and along with Adams, and he just follows around the corner behind Beislein and Adams, doing a great job of getting out there in the flat and getting the first down again. Nothing fancy, just get around the corner.
Yep. None like experience up front, is there, Steve? And that kind of tempo right there. Real confident they were on 4th and 4.
Again, it's simple blocking up front. It's what happens behind the line of scrimmage that makes it look like some sophisticated offense. And you know, it's almost like running a play in basketball. If everybody knows where they're supposed to go, there's going to be 2 guys that are going to have it kind of easy.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, defense.
So an unsportsmanlike conduct call. So this will be half the distance to the goal.
More importantly right now, too, you talk about the blocking. Both these teams rely on the run so much. The discipline of the blocking here. They do their job every time. It becomes a very well-oiled machine, which is probably why they're playing in this game today.
Well, we talked about the 12-play drive, and I was just impressed with the rhythm offensively that Southern Columbia had. They've come out with it here in the second half.
Here's Traw going in for the touchdown. I believe it's a touchdown.
He has it up.
Touchdown, Southern Columbia.
Adams, Slater on that right side heading on over.
That is a big drive right there. The 3rd and 8 back at their own 29-yard line was the big play in this whole thing. But again, the Southern Columbia offensive line took over, and Traw goes in for his second touchdown of the day, his 26th on the season.
One of the guys has done a great job of blocking all afternoon, and we haven't talked probably enough about him, is Adams, number 45. He's getting out there as a fullback, doing all the dirty work, but getting people open.
5 minutes and 38 seconds to start the second half as the kick by Pressure is good, and Southern Columbia is now up big, 28-14 with 6:22 left here in the third quarter.
Problem that you have right now is with this triple option that Bishop Carroll runs, and here you see the touchdown play once again. Again, good blocking by Adams up front, and there's Trout getting in the end zone. The triple option is a wonderful option if you're out ahead. It's not a good offense if you're running from behind, and right now you only got 6:22 left in the third quarter, Jed. You got to think that you don't want to be passing this afternoon, so you're really in a hole at the moment.
One of the stats that we looked at halftime to show the 7-point lead was number of offensive plays. Last 2 times Southern Columbia's had the ball, they've gone 12 plays, and that time 11 plays, 63 yards.
The other problem is in that triple option right now for Bishop Carroll, as they get set to take the ball here, you're not going to get a chance to be that explosive right now because you can't get good traction down there. It's kind of tippy-toe kinds of offensive running, as we saw there by Trout getting into the end zone.
You're watching the 2003 PIAA Class Single A State Championships here on the Pennsylvania Cable Network, PCN, only on cable. PCN, Pennsylvania's championship network.
If we want to get an idea of what the footing's like now, watch Southern Columbia on this kickoff return, because it's always difficult for the defenders to try and plant and make cuts.
Lauer, the ball is out, and Southern Columbia's on it. I believe it's Adams who recovers. Check that. That's going to be Ken Thomas for Southern Columbia. He got walloped in there. And now Southern Columbia is beginning to really grab the game by the throat.
Well, you have a chance now to really put yourself in the driver's seat and more or less take this one home. I mean, it's 6:15 to go here. Let's face it. You get down 3 touchdowns in this game, and it's going to be a long road back. Here you see the run. Just really losing the ball more than anything else. I don't think it was such a ferocious hit. But it's a tough one to hang on to this afternoon. We said earlier, you're going to see a lot more of that loose ball handling now with the conditions worsening here. Ball covered up by Southern Columbia, and they are up and ready to go.
Ball at the 32-yard line after the second turnover of the afternoon against Bishop Carroll. Here's Traw again. Traw just kind of nudging through. He's got about 8 or 9 yards. Well, Traw is just running through. Well, the Southern Columbia offense, we mentioned, Steve, about just the tempo they are having on the offensive line, and look at them blow it open for Adams there, and Adams again here.
Adams over Kreischer. Adams coming around the corner off the block by Traw, and then into the end zone goes Traw again for another touchdown, and a 2-touchdown lead right now and a chance for more for Southern Columbia.
And we just saw it on that last play, 8 yards, just Traw getting behind Beislein, and it wasn't anything spectacular, but he kept his feet moving, did Beislein, and so did Traw behind him.
Here's Traw lunging forwards, got the first down as he goes inside the 20 to about the 17-yard line, a gain of 5.
And again, Kreischer leading the way out of that center position all afternoon, number 59. You see his number out in front every time, getting a good 2-3 yard surge. Watch this. Kreischer pushing ahead. Now watch where they come. Right there where Kreischer just vacated. You got 2 yards before you ever hit bodies.
Good job by Dan Bukowski to stop it from being more. He was behind the play and just reached out and grabbed on to Traw.
This time it's Slater, who's run so very well, goes over 100 yards and has got another first down as he slams it inside the 10 to the 8.
There's Kevin Beislein opening it up on the other side, and I'm telling you, that front line right now is just blocking as brilliantly as you'd want to block. Just good, disciplined blocking.
Adams as well leading the way from his fullback.
Look at the hole right there. Again, pushed down there, and there's Adams again. Yeah. How many times have we called his number now in the last few plays just to get those good blocks?
I almost thought his last name was again.
Paul Porcellini. You saw the camera catch him leaving. He was the one that made the tackle. Here's Traw again. This time stood up at about the 5-yard line.
Good tackle over there by Brock Lauer that time, coming out of his safety spot. The 5'11", 150-pound sophomore going chest to chest.
You know, all this being said and it being a 14-point lead, Bishop Carroll is not going away quietly. There's still some head knocking going on. This has been, and I think will be all weekend long, one of the hardest hitting finals, all 4 classifications. There's some tough defensive players on these teams.
Second and goal at the 5. Here's Slater looking for his 3rd touchdown. Rumbles home.
This time it's the Green Bay sweep as Slater just takes it and doesn't go to the inside, comes around the outside, and there you see the look of Coach Sponsky, puts his head down and says, whoops, that might be it.
Well, you never say never, but the way Southern Columbia has come out of the locker room here, dominating this side of the line of scrimmage, it's a tall order coming.
You saw the people right along that line. They should get a lot of the credit. I mean, they're just standing people up right now and holding their blocks so well.
Well, those mutter type of players, and that Slater we mentioned can run on that off track. He's doing so well today, over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns.
The touchdown is good.
He's filling in.
After the play, we have a dead ball. Personal foul on the defense. That's half the distance to the goal for the extra point.
So that's a second. The officials, you know, they really put a premium on sportsmanship, and they'll call things tightly. Here's Kreischer again for the extra point. This time snuck it right under and good.
Right in your living room, and a 3-touchdown lead now for Southern Columbia. If to say they're in the driver's seat might be the understatement of the year.
I don't know. I think they're kind of slacking off. That was only a 5-play drive. Of course, it was after the fumble on the kickoff return. And here's Slater's touchdown run. And again, Jed, you know, you talked about him being a mutter and running on the off track, but if you're patient, and he is very patient. He didn't cut hard inside. He waited to see where the defense was going to give him the opportunity.
And then you watch him line down. He was making a little snow angel there, I think, in the end zone.
Just like you did at halftime.
That was it. I ran down there at halftime and made 2 snow angels, in fact.
Mike Conte, who says hardly a winter wonderland, is down in the elements. Mike, how are things holding up? I see everybody with shovels over there desperately trying to keep everything up to date.
And Chad, there's really not much they can do at this point. It is snowing so hard, and then when you combine that with the pulverized rubber and the potassium chloride on the field and the moisture of the snow is so thick and falling so hard, there's really nothing they can do to keep the field clear at this time. It's like running on sand down here.
I think I've heard the words potassium chloride and pulverized rubber more in the last hour and a half.
There's Robert Admire down there getting checked in the eyes, and that's usually a sign for a head hit, checking for a possible concussion. Now you got to start to wonder a little bit into tonight, too, with the game we have coming up yet tonight. Another game to be played in this field, and we still have a lot of snow before 7 o'clock.
Well, both teams like to run the ball. That's a good thing. They're doing that.
Tell you what, though, this grounds crew walking around the side, shovels on the side. They've got everything going all the time. So, I mean, they're doing everything they can do to keep this field somewhat playable at this point.
35-14, Southern Columbia leads today's exclusive live coverage of the 2003 PIAA Championships, brought to you by Wachovia.
Wachovia, talk to us, because when we take all that you know and add all that we've learned, together we can discover uncommon possibilities.
And tonight, Mannheim Central and Pine Richland both making their first trips into the gold medal game. Both have experienced their share of heartbreak. Another fumble, and Southern Columbia's on it again.
Looked like Slater in there somewhere, also number 66 that time. That's Josh Marks.
And Mike Wydra, 74, is getting a lot of congratulations.
He's on the fumble recovery.
Oh, okay.
Wydra, the defensive tackle. Magic moment here in a state championship game. Let's take a look at it.
Just a bad handoff. Poor Cellini just left without the ball.
And Wydra says, raw meat, thank you very much.
Well, don't let these last 8 minutes dampen your enthusiasm about Bishop Carroll, because they have been spectacular coming in. They're undefeated at 14-0. They are deservedly the Western champion. They have made remarkable progress. When they went to the Western Final a few years ago, Steve, they got whacked by Southside Beaver 53-7. They've made a progression from there.
They played 2 tough games against really good Rochester Rams teams, too.
But Southern Columbia might be just a little bit better as Traw has the touchdown. 43 yards to make it 41-14. And Traw's cutback running ability is what has made him special each of the last 2 years for the Tigers.
Watch the block here, Jed, at the line of scrimmage once again by Adams. It's incredible the fact that Traw can cut back. Watch this block right here. Here it is, coming up. Right there it is. Adams putting that block right there, opens it up, and you can see the hole and heading home the rest of the way. What a cutback in the snow.
Yeah, if you're going to start an offensive line, that's going to be one of the first blocking schemes you're going to teach them. That was so simple, but so well done.
Well, one play drive that time. It's getting shorter and shorter.
Hikers.
Well, Jim Roth doesn't look like the game's won yet. Look at him.
You know, if you're going to beat somebody like Southern Columbia, you just can't give up 14 points off turnovers on back-to-back plays. And the kick is up, and it is good again. How about this kicking game? Considering the conditions, they have missed an extra point yet.
Yeah, that kick's good for another 20 yards there, too. He's putting a lot of leather on that.
Am I missing something here? Is it 42-14?
Maybe our scoreboard's frozen up, too.
Yeah, it's 42-14.
There we go. Southern Columbia fan was right there with you. They were saying, wait a minute here. We saw that touchdown.
Well, Southern Columbia on their way with 3:51 remaining in this third quarter of going back to back after going 0 for 5 to last year. But it's amazing what happens when you get the monkey off your back. You can really start cooking. And here we go on the block again.
Brandon Trow, you can see him dancing for one touchdown. Remember, we went out of the game earlier, limped off the field, and look at this cutback. No limp there. I mean, that's as good as you get on a regular field, let alone in the snow.
And didn't our guys at halftime show him getting hurt? He looks pretty good.
He was dragging it off, and then look at this. Here he is. This was Brandon Trout earlier.
That's second quarter.
This is Brandon Trowell now.
That was earlier in the quarter from 8 yards out.
How now, Mr. Trowell? And there he goes, coming on in again. There's a cutback one more time. That does not look like the same guy that hurt his ankle earlier in the game.
No, but every time and from every angle they show that play, 15 carries, 130 yards, 3 touchdowns, you'll see that the blocking is so good, he only has to beat 2 guys.
15 carries for 130 yards and just 3 touchdowns this afternoon. And you put that with Mr. Slater on the other side. Not a bad 1-2 punch.
There's Lauer as he flies across the 30 to about the 32-yard line.
Pretty amazing. We talked about Hynoski being out today because of the ACL injury. 14 touchdowns, 791 yards, and then what do? Slater steps in, Trowell comes in, and there you go.
Well, Bob Abmeyer is out of the football game. Gary, you saw him with a flashlight. He's getting some congratulations from his teammates. He had caused a fumble on the kickoff. He had hit Lauer, and that led to a Southern Columbia touchdown.
And that's precautionary. You want to make sure, you don't play around with concussions on any level. Here it is. That was a fumble, and there you see Admire coming down, taking quite a hit there. He comes down on his head right there. Comes up out of it, looks okay. But, sometimes possible concussions can be a little bit later on. There you
well,
see
that's one thing. We've talked about sports medicine, and, Steve, you've seen a whole bunch of stuff where you are, and 2 years we've been together. It's just remarkable what kind of people are on hand at these games. Sideline help. They do not leave any stone unturned concerning conditions of players.
Well, and also about 10 years ago, most of the athletic trainers that you saw were the ones like you see in the movie The Water Boy, and the elevation of skill and knowledge and precaution that the trainers have to go through just to be on those sidelines, I think speaks a lot to them. Yeah, the players are a lot better off with the training staff today than they were, a few years back.
Right now, if you're Bishop Carroll, you're starting one drive at a time. You want to work on this drive. You don't want to think about the score. You don't want to think out ahead. You want to think about this drive. And they start out with a nice job getting 8 yards in the running play by Koenig. And now a nice quick pass to the outside. Quick first down here by Bishop Carroll.
Yep.
I think that's the first ball Lisinski has completed since the first quarter. They did not come in here with a reputation to throw the football a whole lot, but they can do it enough. It's enough of a threat. Here's Lisinski again. It's got a man. It's going to be Koenig. And Koenig's got positive yardage all the way down to the Southern Columbia 42-yard line.
Ryan Hall in on the tackle.
Obviously, the turnovers have been big in this game, but, we talked at halftime about that possession time, also the number of possessions, and Southern Columbia has kept that offense off the field, and that's exactly what you wanted to do this afternoon. Good pass to the outside here. You can see it. Koenig, a special player.
And numbers to back that statement up. Nice throw, pass caught. It's going to be Day. He's rumbling inside the 20 all the way down to the Southern Columbia 18-yard line. And this is the kind of spunk, kind of bounce, kind of fight that has led them to a 14-0 regular season and playoff record to get to the gold medal game.
Look at a play fake. Stand up and just throw right across the middle there, and you've got Landon Day, the tight end, going through. Boy, I'd love to see people use a tight end. Day just coming in, a little slant play into the middle, and Day says, hey, we're not done yet. Let's keep on playing.
Releases late, gets positive yardage. Back again, Lisinski buys time, throws it over the middle. Incomplete, dangerous pass intended for Koenig.
Good defense there, shutting down all the receivers, too, for Southern Columbia, as they had 5 people back that time.
It was really about the first poor decision that we've seen Lisinski make. Should not have thrown that football.
The thing is, Koenig made that athletic catch earlier in the game, and I think they count on Koenig to do that kind of thing. He's going to go up there and make those kind of plays.
Yep.
Got an official's timeout in there. You want to change the football or make sure they have the right spot? Not sure exactly what that debate could be about out there.
So double checking the spot right now.
Good luck.
And then are trying to find a green one.
There it is. Great shot, guys. You might as well be snapping an ice tray. Here's Lisinski again, incomplete. Again, that ball is just impossible to get a handle on. Lauer is the intended receiver over there. There he is.
Over on the side, you've got guys running around. There you see it. Beautiful picture there. Just a lovely day in Hershey. I wonder if she thinks it's the sweetest place on earth today.
Plenty of play. You got Chocolate World over there.
Sure, it's
plenty
nice.
of
The lights will be
stuff
coming on
around.
tonight. It's wonderful. Hey, I come up here every year. I'm a nut for the lights.
Oh, I thought that was a rhetorical question. That's why I didn't answer.
Careful what you do with him. He brought this with him from Erie.
Yeah. Oh, he thinks this is a dusting.
To those in Erie, this is a dusting. Pass is caught. Forcellini cuts it back to the 5 and scores. Paul Forcellini. And there'll be a personal foul against Southern Columbia.
How about Forcellini reaching back to get this ball? Lasinski lets it go, gets it just far enough back there. Forcellini reaches back, picks it up on a shoestring, and then takes it into the end zone.
This was a tough catch when we look at this again, Steve.
Yeah, and a better run after the catch.
Just watch it in his hands. Watch him stop here, gets himself under control. Good pace, good poise, and ducks it and gets into the end zone.
He knows where the end zone is. We mentioned to you in the opening round of states, he had both touchdowns, 2 touchdowns in their 18-7 win against Clarion Limestone.
Watch the block by Koenig at the end of this. Right here in the left-hand corner of your screen. Play comes to an end. Now watch this. Koenig just unloads.
Which is, I think, where the flag came from.
Touchdown is good. After the play, we have a dead ball. Unsportsmanlike conduct against the offense.
Oh, boy.
That'll be assessed 15 yards from the 3-yard line.
See if we can get that
for the
one
extra
more time.
point.
I don't know if we can get that look, but Koenig just leveled, and I mean leveled, Cale Roth.
We have talked, and I think
that's the third one in this quarter.
Yeah, rightfully so, about wanting to take care of the players. That one's a little tight, if you ask me, fellas, just because that's during the course of the play. He had maybe 1 foot over the goal line. I think you let that one go. That's just boys being boys.
I think with the snow too, it's pretty hard to stop right now. You got some forward momentum you might not normally have.
On Forcellini, guys.
Didn't look on Koenig.
I was just going to say that's his 6th catch of the year, and he's been averaging 29 yards per catch. This is the 21-yarder for the touchdown. We'll see it at the end of the play.
I don't think this had anything to do with the weather.
You don't.
It's off screen.
You were being nice.
That was We'll see it here, I think.
Here it is. He gets in the end zone right there, and right behind him the play is nailed.
Yeah.
So
I understand why they called it. I'm not necessarily sure at 42-20. In this kind of weather that you don't let that go.
Sunday, Northern Lehigh and Aliquippa, speed versus power at 1 o'clock. The games from tomorrow have been moved to Sunday, and then North Penn and Central Catholic, the Quad A Championship at 5 o'clock. All of it right here on Pennsylvania's Championship Network, PCN, the Pennsylvania Cable Network. So the ball at the 30-yard line for the extra point. They just hurl it there, and that'll be it. Not often you see a 30-yard 2-point conversion try, but you do there.
Absolutely.
Well, for Forcellini, that's his 17th touchdown of the year. And for Lasinski, as far as throwing the football, that is his 8th touchdown pass. And there's the pass intended for Day, who had a big catch in that touchdown drive for Bishop Carroll. Let's head back to Mike Conti and have a how's Mike doing update here. Mike?
How's Mike doing update? No, I'm doing fine. You know, Bishop Carroll, Gary talked a lot about the style of offense that they run, a lot of backs in the backfield, and actually compared them to Central Bucks West. That was something that Bishop Carroll did in 1996. They went to a wishbone offense when they started having problems blocking people. They wanted to go to an offense that was based more on deception, and that offense has really been their bread and butter since 1996, and that's a big reason why they've been to the West Final in the last 3 years.
If you're Southern Columbia right now, you got the good hands people up front because they are expecting onside kick here. And I'll tell you what, this is a great place to try the onside kick because no one knows where the lines are at this point in the game anyway.
Well, if you're Bishop Carroll, you try and find the blue X to kick off from.
Well, they just shoveled off some hash marks in anticipation of that very thing, Gary.
New England, Miami all over again, right? There it is.
This time they're going to kick it deep. This one goes past Tron. Once it goes to the end zone, it's a dead ball. In high school, you can't come out of the end zone with a kick.
Yeah, but I like that play because everybody was up. If you can get it to die, you know, the worst thing that's going to happen is that you're going to pin them deep in their own territory.
Well, I think everybody's forgetting we're only in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And there's still 13 minutes and 36 seconds to go. And I think the thinking by Bishop Carroll, kick deep, maybe we get a turnover because they are plus 18 giveaway takeaway. And they've already had one short field score today.
Well, and they just did a nice job. I said earlier about the triple option. You're not going to get back in as this PIAA championship right here on PCN. But, you know, I said not going to get back in and run it that way. But they said, okay, fine, we'll pass the ball. They did a great job that last series of passing the ball and getting down there in a couple of minutes.
But they have to stop Southern Columbia's running game. And so far, Southern is really getting large chunks, and there's 7 or 8 more on first down.
Brandon Traw again, and it's been the same thing. It's worked all afternoon. Get him behind your right guard, your left guard, your center, and just follow. And here it is this time, the right guard.
Real nifty feet on this play, Gary.
Yeah, as I was saying, Steve, I was going to ask you, it's their cutback ability, these Southern runners that have just, that's what's really hurt Bishop Carroll.
Yeah, you know, nifty might not be the right word. I like patient runners, especially in weather like this. Southern has been patient, but again, this becomes a really big series now because it's back to a 3-score game with lots of time left.
Quick handoff, Adams, first down as he flies forward to about the 33-yard line.
I like the mix up there. You get the nice finesse of a Trowell, then you get the power of an Adams up the middle. It's just a good job, and another good block right over the center again. As you saw Dan Kreischer. I'll tell you what, that front line this afternoon has been fantastic. There's Kreischer pushing out. Yeah,
and Madera 62.
Who's that guy at Bucknell that said you're playing center? He was going there for a kicking camp, I thought, because he's on the soccer team.
He's only 5'7", for heaven's sakes, Kreischer, 210-pound junior.
He's had a fabulous football game up there today for the Tigers. Final 30 seconds, as you can see, of the quarter coming up. Here's Traw. There's a cutback move again, and this time gets something out of nothing, and the pile moves him back, but forward progress is going to mean about the 39 or 40-yard line, closer to the 39. Gain of 3.
We talked about Bishop Carroll in the open, saying that they didn't do a lot of things, but what they do well. And I think we're seeing the same kind of attitude by these guys.
Decision to move from tomorrow to Sunday was made by the PIAA Executive Director, Brad Cashman, and he's standing by with our Mike Conti. Mike? As we come to the end of the third quarter of play, and I'm sure we're getting that set up right now. Mike?
Okay, thanks, Chad. Obviously, the weather is the big story this weekend here in Hershey. The game will continue, and tonight we will play, but Brad Cashman, no games tomorrow, correct?
That's right. We pulled the schools on a conference call this afternoon that involved tomorrow's games, and they were in total agreement that we should postpone to Saturday, or to Sunday, excuse me, and primarily based on the forecast. There's a lot of snow that's forecast for tonight into tomorrow. And then we're supposed to have, after that, the high winds and rain, which means the temperatures will rise, but the conditions are not going to be good for traveling. So we're going to go on Sunday.
The game's on Sunday at 1 and 5, a little bit different than usual. What went into that?
Well, the decision to go to 1 and 5 was based on 2 things. They didn't want to play too early on Sunday. So 1 o'clock was the compromise kickoff time for double-A game. And then the second game, they didn't want to go off so late because of getting back on a night before a school night so late. So we said 1 and 5, and they were agreeing with that. So we're going with that.
Thanks, Brad. And the games will go on tonight.
In that third quarter, and we start the fourth quarter, and here's Slater. Ryan Slater has played so very well, and Hynoski's only a freshman. The guy that's out, he injured himself after a 9-yard gain against Lackawanna Trail in the Eastern Final last year. That's 14 touchdowns that are unavailable to them today, but Slater has stepped into the breach. He's got 3 touchdowns. Traw's got the other 3, 42-20.
Slater's been really phenomenal in this game. Offensively, he's been very patient. Defensively, he's been just the opposite. Oh my goodness.
359 total yards for Southern Columbia, 109 for Bishop Carroll so far. That talks about domination.
That gives you an idea how good Southern is on defense, because Bishop Carroll has Really, really good. And there's a great play by the linebacker for Bishop Carroll, that being Dan Strong. Get notes around here, guys. Forget about it.
Well, Bishop Carroll holds here, and they get a chance again. And this is what you want early in the third quarter. But you got to think they need a score right here to get back into this game in any way. It's been a blizzard of points so far this afternoon for Southern Columbia. And again, you got to handle a punt here as well. So every little play now, there's opportunity. Like that.
Pretty good job. Nice high punt. Lauer camps under, calls the fair catch at about the 35-yard line. And that's where Bishop Carroll will go on offense. Good series defensively that time for Bishop Carroll. That's the best one of the second half. And Greg Sponsky is not going to give up without a fight. Let's see this great job by Slater, the punter.
Well, just keeping your poise about yourself there is what you want to do. And you got to think the snow almost helped him. It deadened. He picks it up, says, I'm not bothering with a step, and just kind of punted it out of there right off the pickup. Look at this. And you normally have to have that one little run start. I don't think he realized how much time he actually had. No one was really putting the heat on him.
Oh boy,
incomplete.
Day was about a finger shy of making a really, really big play for Bishop Carroll.
Lisinski right now trying not to rush. He's getting some pretty good pressure there from the defensive line, but just a little quick. Well, I'll tell you what, put that ball right there where you want to be, and one more step, and Day's got himself a lot of yardage. Get an idea now. It looks like about an inch of snow laying on the field at the moment.
That was a tough hit.
Well, I'll tell you what, not the one you want to have to catch in this game right now. As Ryan Hall went up and just stuck it as Tackix went up there. Watch this. I mean, Tackix went up to pick that one off. Not where you want to be. You're at the mercy of the back. The pass goes out to the outside. Tackix goes up and then whack. Feel like an Oreo cookie.
That was Slater on the back of that. Boy, Slater's just been everywhere. He'll have a final game that will be unforgettable. 3rd and 10. Lisinski back. Day can't hang on. It's just tough, and the frustration beginning to come out now. Day's fist goes into the turf.
Oh, this is where you want to have a chance to play, and you're just so mad about the conditions, and yet everybody's playing the same ones. Look at this. Good pass. I mean, good spiral. You almost have to put it in the gut right now. It's going to go through the hands a lot more. And, you know, we want to get down there where you can put it in the gut, but everything's not going to be perfect at this point in the game. You're down by 22 points. You got to make something happen.
4th and 10, they're going to go for it. Well, you never know when you're coming back. You might as well just...
Double receivers out on this side. You got to think they're coming to the left.
Lisinski back, looks, throws, almost intercepted. Doug Woodruff on the coverage, and Southern Columbia will take over on downs at the Bishop Carroll 35.
Tried to clear out 2 receivers deep and then run Koenig underneath and couldn't get him, and you'll see it here. Good job of smelling it out.
Yeah.
Koenig has someone ghosting him all the time in this game. You see Woodruff there again. He's been outstanding all afternoon too in that secondary. You know, Jed, you look at the numbers so far. 55 plays run by the Tigers for 363 yards. Only 29 for the Huskies, 125. Again, they've kept that offense off the field all day long.
This is Traw, and he's got positive yardage down near that 30-yard line.
Possession time, 22 minutes and 47 seconds for Southern Columbia. Only 13 minutes and 13 seconds. At halftime, they had 10 minutes and 43 seconds, so only about 3 minutes this quarter, or this half, handling the ball.
I remember when I was a kid, people would say, well, you know, doesn't the offense get tired? People talk about the defenders getting tired, doesn't the offense? And I wondered that myself. The legendary Joe Moore told me one time, he said, it's a whole lot easier to play offense when you're going well than it is to play defense when you're not.
That's right. It's no fun playing defense right here at the moment.
Quick handoff, Adams, first down as he slides forward to about the 24-yard line. They needed 4, he got 5. Well, let us know what you think about this championship coverage live from Hershey. There's the kissing towel right there. here at Hershey Park. PCNTV.com, and also streaming video, I understand, from Corey Clark, our producer this year. Email us at PCNTV@PCNTV.com.
Gary, you're going to give a treatise on streaming video?
I am not.
Okay, just checking.
As opposed to standing still video.
Here comes Traw to the outside. And let's see, he's got about the gain of about 4 or 5 to about the 19.
You know, and there's another flag in there, and I'm wondering if it's...
And it's Koenig on the bottom of it again.
Somebody's hurt for Southern.
Well, I don't think if it's against Bishop Carroll, it's not against Koenig, because he was in on that play all the time. Now, someone did come in at the end of the play.
Looked like Slater might be down. I'm not sure. Let's take a look.
Ray Snarsky is down for Southern Columbia.
Look at Adams, just leading out again, banging the whole way. Traw gets around the corner one more time. We've seen this play all afternoon. No one really hit him after Koenig got him. We're waiting to see who's down in the field. I thought it might be Slater, but I'm not positive. Snarsky, yes.
I said it was Ray Snarsky
You
there,
got it.
Gary. And he's a guy seeing some action today at both linebacker and as a backup tailback, 6 foot, 180-pound junior. You want him to be all right. Let's go down to Mike Conti while we have a moment. Mike?
Looks like they're looking at Snarsky's left knee or leg right now, based on what I've seen. Interesting what they're doing here during the injury timeouts and even during first downs when they're moving the chains. They're bringing members of the grounds crew off the sideline with shovels, and they're just clearing off the yard lines and trying to at least keep some semblance of the lines on the field right now. But it's amazing to see how much snow they're collecting as they're pushing it off the field. We've probably had 2 or 3 inches of snow since the second half began, guys.
And a face mask call will take it all the way down to the 10-yard line.
Yeah, so the 5-yard variety, you'll see it right at the end of the play right there. Yeah, it's
Koenig again on the penalty and tackle. So 8.5 minutes to go. Southern Columbia goal to go right now. Latour on a keeper, this time sliced down after a gain of about 1 yard to the 9. Lauer in on the stop for Bishop Carroll.
Excellent tackle by Lauer that time, the cornerback coming up. Take a look at this.
Might be Dan Strong, too. We'll look at this.
There's Latour. There comes Lauer. Watch this. This is the way you're supposed to make it, right there. Lauer from the backside.
Also, Bodenschatz in there, too. Still, though, it doesn't look like the footing is all that bad, or at least it's not affecting the players.
Here's Traw, cuts it back inside the 5, winding forward to the 1-yard line.
One guy it's definitely not affecting is Brandon Traw. He kind of likes this. He's gotten better the second half with this stuff. Traw's one, like you said, I think Traw's patience and his running style have adapted himself well the second half to the snow. The patience, watch this, and then just picking your spot.
Atkinson on the stop for Bishop Carroll. Boy, how brilliant has he been in the second half? Really, how brilliant has he been over the last couple of years?
How about Blaine Madera leading on the block again, number 62? I mean, that front line.
All that line.
Oh my gosh, Marks. And
this time, Bishop Carroll says you're not going in without a fight. And he is stopped short. So it'll be 4th and goal from about the 1 coming up for Southern Columbia.
You talk about that front line, 67, Jeremy Fowler, the offensive tackle, offensive guard, baseline 50. Here's the replay again. Look at them pushing out. Just have taken over this line of scrimmage the whole second half. Dan Kreischer in the center. We called his number all afternoon, or Kreischer rather, 59. Offensive guard Blaine Madera, 62, and offensive tackle Josh Hoagland, 60, and also John Adams, the fullback. They've done a great job blocking.
4th and goal as you look at Latour surveying everything. 2 tight ends set here for Southern. Adams, touchdown.
That's fitting. He's blocked. He's done a lot of the dirty work all afternoon, and now he gets to cash in for his own 6 points. Dominant performance here in the second half by Southern Columbia.
And another long march to pay dirt. This one's 35 yards after they get it back on downs.
Slater leading that time on the block.
That's the 8th touchdown of the year for Adams.
Adams, a guy that had 71 rushes on the season coming into this game for 392 yards. So a guy that does a lot of blocking, not a lot of running or scoring.
Kreischer in for the extra point, and it is good again. He has a perfect 7 for 7.
It's kind of a wounded duck going over the bar, but it went over the bar nevertheless.
Gary, you were just talking about Madera up front. Mike Conti's got some background for us. Mike?
Well, Madera certainly is the emotional leader of the Southern Columbia team. Last week before the East Final, he pulled his teammates together and gave them a speech in the locker room. He relayed a story about a rubber band. He took out one rubber band and snapped it. He said one rubber band isn't strong enough to do anything effective. Then he took out some more rubber bands. He said when you put all the rubber bands together, kind of like a team, you're stronger together. Well, then everybody on the Southern Columbia team started wearing rubber bands on their right wrist, and today, yet again, they are wearing rubber bands on their right wrist after Madera relayed that nice little story to them. But he certainly is the emotional leader and pretty much the physical leader of the Southern Columbia team as well.
Well, this is a senior group who've known nothing but the trip here. Their first 2 years, they got beat. The last 2 years, they're going home gold.
Mike called it a nice little story. I find that to be pretty stunning from a 17 or 18-year-old kid. That's some heady stuff, and it's that kind of story or that kind of talk. Yeah. Well, that kind of talk many times hits kids a lot closer to home than the banging the head on the locker type of deal.
When it's one of your own, and part of that story too was I think he put all the rubber bands together, didn't he? And then they had the strongest guys in the team try to pull them apart and couldn't do it. And they said, "Here's how strong it is when they're all together." Amazing story.
Here's Lauer. Well, these two teams had to venture in for the Single A championship. Where are they from? Bishop Carroll, Evansburg. That's District 6. That's over in Cambria County. And Catawissa, that's Columbia County.
That appears where Steve's from, right there.
That's where the snow made. Steve brought snow here, so. So that's the map.
Fine.
49-20 is our score.
Good inside handoff to Koenig. A little bit of Southern Columbia look there. That's the first one of those we've seen all afternoon.
But he is barely over 20 yards, or if he is. There's Craig Sponsky, head coach of Bishop Carroll. It got away from them in the third quarter. Southern Columbia just came out and took over the line of scrimmage, Steve. Got a couple of turnovers and just bolted this down.
You know how sometimes people say numbers and you just go, oh, they're just saying that for the sake of numbers? There was an article today in the newspaper talking about Southern Columbia and about its program. If you were to play 10 years of high school football, the most number of games you could play in 10 years is 150. This is Southern Columbia's 149th game.
Wow. Pretty incredible.
That's pretty incredible.
That's pretty incredible.
That is.
That's George Zurich coming up with that for us. George has been keeping the book, me up here for.
Look at this. Koenig almost comes up with another big catch here.
Well, he had a circus catch in the initial possession for Bishop Carroll of 35 yards. It set up his 5-yard touchdown run.
And there's Woodruff again. Watch Woodruff knock this away at the last moment. He's got it.
Yeah, that's a good play by Doug Woodruff.
Woodruff's, I mean, who hasn't had an outstanding day for Southern Columbia today? There's a Marine down there trying to recruit Latour.
Lasinski, and they've got the first down. Lasinski's thrown the ball pretty well. 5'10" senior.
Latour's, okay, look at that. Latour's the kind of quarterback that can be a good Marine. He's out there blocking him. You see him smiling down there.
Marines are a proud sponsor of PIAA championship events.
Got the big Marine down in the corner of the end zone, yeah.
Actually, that's Kreischer. But that's 59 that the Marine's talking to. But
it was Kreischer. I thought he was starting Latour there for a second, too, so he picked Kreischer. He should pick Kreischer this afternoon.
Well, I was just going to say, the center's going to like it that you thought he was the quarterback.
Well, centers like that stuff. They're down doing push-ups all day long anyway.
Yep.
Well, Southern Columbia jumps on Lasinski all the way back near the 45-yard line. Big loss on the play, led by John Adams, who just scored the touchdown.
See Woodruff in here as well. Although, you know, who don't you pick? Wydra was on the bottom.
Well, these seniors for Bishop Carroll have helped develop the top single-A program outside of the Big Seven and the WPIAA in Pittsburgh. They have managed to break through, and they will be heard from. This is a really coming force. They've gotten here to the state championship game. Koenig close to a first down. They have just, there's been nowhere for him to go today. Came in with over 1,600 yards, and Southern Columbia made stopping him mission number 1, and they accomplished that and then some.
Actually, still 12 yards to go, just getting back near the original line of scrimmage, and Koenig trying to reach for a little bit more. 12 yards to go, third down.
Pass high and complete, but again, Lazinski was running for his life. Nowhere to get comfortable in that pocket.
You know, we saw Craig Sponsky over the side looking somewhat despondent, but I got to tell you, I mean, outstanding team. The snow certainly had a little bit to do with their style of play today, and you know, he's got to be a little bit down. But you know, coaches have a tendency to learn more from losses than they do from wins, and I'm a great believer that sometimes you have to get to this game one time and experience before you get a chance to get back here and win again. You learn an awful lot. He'll learn much from today's game.
Steve, what did Koenig for? 34 yards?
34 yards on 11 carries.
Roth on the interception, makes the dive and gets the job done at about the 40-yard line, and Southern Columbia now with 3:39 left, closing in on a second consecutive state championship, and for Jim Roth, it'll be his third as head coach in 19 years.
There's Dad getting ready to meet him on the sideline here. Gives him a little pat in the helmet and a little pat in the shoulders, like any other player.
They were tested by Steel High in the first round of states. They were down 19-6. K.O. Roth took a punt back, 53 yards, and then Service took one back, 93 yards. They scored 25 points in 7.5 minutes to erase a 19-6 deficit and take out a pretty gnarly bunch from the mid-pen in the Harrisburg area.
You need those. Everybody has those games somewhere along their playoff run.
Good Slater.
For Bishop Carroll, it was getting past Johnstown 7-6 in the regular season, and then last week down 14-0 to Springdale. And I'll tell you, Springdale was hot to the touch going into that Western final.
That was a game against the team of destiny, because it was amazing how things just fell for Coach Wagner and the Springdale Dynamos. But it was really a great perseverant effort by Bishop Carroll last week. They didn't give up. They didn't get antsy at all. They just kept pounding it down the Dynamo's throat.
Tonight, Pine Richland coming out of the west, Mannheim Central out of the east. The first time for both in the state championship game. Here's Adams. Looked like he may have lost the handle momentarily, but got back on it. Day on the stop. Also there, Cassicks again.
Snow actually looks like it's letting up just a little bit, at least.
Packers, rather.
Well, I was going to mention that if there is good news, it's that the wind seems to have stopped a bit. So it's kind of that it's fluffy little snow.
It's blowing into the booth now. Blowing right at us. You can see the flag in the far. There's the elements. The grounds crew here has done a remarkable job. At 11 o'clock, the field looked like it did now. There was actually more snow on it. They have managed to keep it playing here strong from behind, but Latour gets out of that and then gets out of bounds.
Boy, talk about perfect timing on the blitz. Strong was coming, but just could not catch the man coming through.
There are a lot of decisions that go on over the course of a year. One of the best ones, maybe the best one from our point of view, putting down this artificial turf, because quite honestly, you'd have been playing one game a day on the grass with this kind of snow.
That's just fantastic stuff.
Yeah, it's wonderful stuff.
Hats off to Matt Ford and Tom Stevens.
How about hats off? How about hats off to these fans who've been sitting here today? You know, Mike Hines been down on the sidelines. I did sideline last week, sat at the same view Mike did for Mannheim Central But here's how they got this field ready. We had a little of this in our pregame opening, but there it is. That'll be out between games, I can assure you.
Are they going to show the Zamboni, though? Because there is a contraption that is very much and very similar in technology to the Zamboni, in that what it does is that it actually brushes the snow up and under, and then it melts as it goes through.
Last year they had 7 inches of snow the night before the state tournament began. This year we've got forecast for the ages. They're talking about 8 to 14 inches tonight, which is why Saturday's games have been moved to Sunday. Here's Traw pushing forward to about the 43-yard line.
I wonder if you might start seeing some curtain calls here pretty soon.
I would think, with a minute to go coming up.
Here we go. And that line.
There's Madera, 62, going off. You see his hand in the air. And
saw Hoagland coming off there, the offensive tackle. Madera, outstanding game in that front line.
There's Service right there. He's on the right of your screen, 31.
Vice line, number 50. I mean, those guys with the horses up there made this thing run all afternoon. And 1 o'clock on Sunday, Jed.
Northern Lehigh, Aliquippa, power versus speed.
5 o'clock, we got another Pettin in the big game, huh, from North Penn.
No, we don't. Dick Beck and North Penn will be here with Pittsburgh Central Catholic, and Mike Carey, a Mike Pettin protege, coming as the defensive coordinator. North Penn, nationally ranked. They'll have their hands full. Here's Adams, quick hitter, first down.
There's a guy who deserves a curtain call today, I'll tell you right now. Adams has just been dynamite blocking today. And
that'll do it.
Yeah.
Well, they can make snow angels all they want, but Southern Columbia, dominant second half performance, is leading 49-20, and they're about to restart the clock here. And that's got to be the final play. Yeah, there we go.
Set the sticks for the first down, stop the clock.
No need to play on. Jim Roth, as you look at him, is about to win his 3rd state championship. Started as an assistant. They almost dropped football. Not now. They are the premier single-A program in football, not only in Pennsylvania, but I defy you to find a single-A program that's any better in the country. They're right there in any conversation you want to have.
And a lot of those conversations will be based on a lot of things, but numbers don't lie. Again, this is back-to-back state championships. They've played one under the maximum number you could play in 10 years. That speaks of getting deep into the playoffs every year. That's a program.
9 times in 10 years in a state championship game, and there's a coach that had an outstanding season. Coach Sponsky looking for his 60th win today. It was not to be, but I have a feeling his group will be back again too. He's got a great program.
Well, they've got they come from a great league, and that league's only getting better and better. They're great rivalries, and that kind of mettle, when you're in that kind of firefight week in and week out, that's what makes great state champions. When you have that kind of schedule and that kind of toughness.
And they've done the thing that a lot of smaller schools haven't done, and that's maintain those rivalries. You see some leagues across the state that 1 or 2 teams or 1 or 2 games a year is a big game. You're right, Jed. Every weekend is a big game in that conference.
And when you added those 2 teams the last few years, Johnstown and of course Bishop Carroll, to an already strong league in the Laurel Highlands, you've got yourself one heck of a league now. Where you're going to have great competition all the time.
So Southern Columbia wins big.
Snow angel time down on the field.
With a big second half, 49-20. Bringing another state championship trophy back to Catawissa. Let's go down to Mike Connie. Mike?
Well, the seeds of this state championship for Southern Columbia were really sown back in December of 2002 when they won the state championship here last year. They really made a commitment to repeat. And I mentioned the agility and speed training that a lot of the players had to go through, but this is a team that really overcame a lot of adversity as well. Service is a guy who had a serious back injury this time last year. It's debatable as to whether or not he'd ever play football again. Of course, Hanoski, their tailback, unavailable for this game today. So Southern Columbia certainly deserves a lot of credit for coming back from that adversity, and their hard work has paid off here. The one thing I will say very quickly, 69 combined points in this weather today. I think the field conditions were very appropriate for football today.
No, the track held. There's no question, and they did a marvelous job staying up with this particular weather, which is only going to get worse as the night goes on a little bit, although there's expected to be a pretty good window to get this AAA game. So I know I don't want to scare anybody away. If you're looking to come out here, make sure you do for Manheim Central and Pine Richland tonight, because that's coming up tonight at 7 here on PCN, the Pennsylvania Cable Network, Pennsylvania's championship network.
I think if we get this kind of snow the rest of the night, that means that the wind will be down this evening, because again, it's just kind of fluffy, swirly snow. It's not blowing like it was. Second and third quarter were bad.
So Western Kelly getting the silver trophy and runners up, and now Southern Columbia with their 3rd state championship trophy getting ready to be presented here.
So there it is, back-to-back for the Tigers of Southern Columbia. Again, Ryan Slater, 3 touchdowns. Brandon Traw, 3 touchdowns. Adams for 1. Their offensive and defensive lines dominated the football game in the 3rd quarter. They go home with another one.
They did absolutely positively what they needed to do and what they've done all season long. Again, it looks fancy. It's really quite simple, but the key is everybody's got to know what to do. We saw great blocking on their interior line, great lead blocking by Adams, some smart plays by the quarterback. And honestly, they played, I think, close to a perfect football game. Given the weather conditions, they played as well as I think you could imagine a team to play.
And the discipline blocking all afternoon. And, you know, Jim Roth was answering questions 2 years ago. Could he win the big one? They were the Buffalo Bills of high school football and all that stuff. I think some of those answers have now been some of those questions have now been laid to rest, obviously.
And Bishop Carroll and everybody watching back there, you've got everything to be proud of with your football team. They were magnificent. What a marvelous year. They just got caught in a team that's on a dynasty run right now. That's all you can say.
The other thing is that Bishop Carroll has something that looks just like that, only in silver, and it may not be what you wanted, but next week when you walk down the hallway and you see that in a trophy case, that means an awful lot.
Absolutely. All right, for Steve Bowen, for Gary Sutton, for our entire crew here with Service Electric, I'm Jed Donahue for Mike Conti and the whole gang. Southern Columbia rolls home in the snow, 49-20 to win their 3rd state championship. We'll see you later for Pine Richland or Manheim Central. Till then, good afternoon, everyone.
You've been watching PCN's exclusive coverage of PIAA Championship Football on PCN, Pennsylvania's championship network.
With over 115,000 interscholastic contests taking place each year, PIAA continues to emphasize the importance of sportsmanship. The PIAA defines sportsmanship as qualities characterized by genuine concern for others. In 1996, PIAA introduced the sportsmanship program, The Only Missing Piece Is You. Its mission is to educate and promote the practice of good sportsmanship. The ideals of sportsmanship apply equally to all disciplines. Individuals, regardless of their roles in interscholastic athletics, are expected to be aware of their influence on the behavior of others and act in a responsible manner at all times. Along with the sportsmanship program, PIAA also requires all of its registered officials to read the PIAA sportsmanship message to captains and coaches prior to games at all levels. PIAA encourages everyone involved in interscholastic athletics, from fans to contestants, to exemplify good sportsmanship. The only missing piece is you.
You're watching PCN, the Pennsylvania Cable Network. PCN is supported in part by Service Electric Cablevision, serving cable subscribers in Bloomsburg and Sunbury. PCN, only on cable.